place.
Hey man, is that
Double D?
Yeah man, well turn it up man.
Let's just go in and like kill all the orcs, right? They're the bad guys, who gives a shit? We just hack and slash and we loot their dead bodies, right? Hack and slash, kill them all, you know, conquer the infidels.
Boy, that campaign sounds like a barrel of fun, doesn't it?
Somebody who's opening a refrigerator and leaning in, right, is the language of a woman. Somebody who's opening the refrigerator and being cut off halfway through that lean is the voice of like a mermaid or a siren. Right?
This is not the face of the hobby anymore. And I think there's been mistakes made in years past where people assumed that D&D players were all, you know, white dudes in a basement. Which has been a faulty assumption for a lot of years and gets more and more false every day. And so it's, in my viewpoint, honestly, guys like me can't leave soon enough.
I just had to be born with empathy and a weakness for socialism and femboys.
You gotta put little hot sauce on the taco, you know what I mean?
We want this dwarf to be the dwarfiest dwarf.
Right.
We want the elf to be the elfiest elf.
Just the dashiest dash of Tabasco.
Their voices need to carry across water.
I'm a creative. It's a huge drain, right? Because fans can be awful.
Al zurdo de mierda no le podés dar ni un milímetro.
Pero ¿me podés definir zurdo de mierda? Que no
Todos los que,
entiendo?
digamos, los colectivistas, los que ponen, digamos, o sea, esa idea... A ver,
¿Por qué le pones de mierda, digamos?
Porque son una mierda.
You say white lives matter, they don't. White lives don't matter because white lives aren't a thing.
I disagree. Gary.
Lutherville, Marina Del X, Otisburg. Who's this monster? She's got her own place. Otisburg. It's a little bitty place. Otisburg. Okay, I just wipe it off. That's all. It's a little town.
We'll do it live.
Okay.
No. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks.
5, 4, 3.
Great sandwich.
Thank you. I enjoyed having you here. You're a very good co-host.
Man, your sinewy muscles are just ripped. And look how your gleaming sweat just comes off your golden body. And the women are just looking the same. And all of them want
Double D. Hello. How y'all doing?
You got a southern twang in there.
That's right.
Yeehaw.
Y'all. Throat is already parched. Well, I hope everybody is having a great Wednesday. Of course, I am never alone. Well, that's not explicitly true. Sometimes I am alone, but fortunately tonight I got this guy.
He's everywhere. I'll make mincemeat out of you, mouse.
What a good-looking mouse.
I know.
Damn straight.
He's got a
damn straight.
Oh, someone's trying to sneak one past us. Go ahead and catch that mouse.
Yep, here it is.
Get that cheese.
Yep.
There he is. The James gang, I'm here. Let the wizard know my orthodox mysticism is more powerful than his Hogwarts training. J.K. Pundit, yeah. I had a feeling that medieval Poland, very steeped in a very Christian setting, would draw DM James. He is all about that stuff. Thank you so much, DM James.
Thank you, getting it kicked off right away.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, not for nothing. If you look a couple below that, Laranjeko.
Yeah.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
You know, we make fun of that guy in our outro sometimes because he says that when it's actually, we should not do that anymore because there it is right there. It's not good morning. It is good night.
It's good night. And you heard the other voice is our buddy Rogan.
Hi.
Hi. How are you? Yes. Good night, Laranjeko, wherever you are. All right. Let's not keep these boys waiting. You're all here. We're all here to talk about, I'll tell you what. I'm going to tease it a little bit here. What do you think of that, boys?
Let's do it. Tease that.
I'm going to tease that
Not
shit.
too long. We got people in the green room.
Oh, they'll like this. I put this together for these guys that are waiting.
Crafted it.
3, 2, 1. Well, that's not explicitly true. It's not available yet. we had hoped it would be, but it is not. Of course, we have the author of Baptism by Fire, RPG Pundit.
Hello, and can I say, al zurdo de mierda no se le puede dar ni un milímetro.
Show off.
Yeah, what he said.
James Gang, you are never alone, Double D. You're always in my. That is good to know, James. Thank you so much. Not only do we have the author of Baptism by Fire, we also have the publisher of it too. Our friend, you can usually find him in the chat. Today he's on screen, Chris Miller, the Mad Scribe.
That's how he always dresses, by the way.
Of course.
Dress for success.
Yeah, as you were saying, Chris, dress for the job you want, right?
I mean, doing wizard shit, man. You know,
it could be dressing for the job of being someone on a list, a government list somewhere. But
so I'm sure I'm on a list. Yeah.
Well, how are you guys doing?
Well,
doing
pretty
good.
Yeah. Apart from the fact that the book isn't out yet, but you know, that's Lays apparently. You know, if anyone wants to invest in setting up a business that's going to be really fruitful right now, you should get a print shop, right? Because apparently all the printers are backed up.
Well, so they say. I don't know. It's I've got mixed emotions about it because I on the one hand I get the distinct impression that, you know, we're being shadow banned or something, but you know, I don't know. You know, I've had the book has been in their hands for 4 weeks, and
I didn't want to be like that kind of a guy, like always seeing things, you know, like, oh, we're always being
yeah.
Hold on one second. We got a.
From what I've heard, other people have gotten delays also with drive-thru, so I think they're having some kind of a logistical problem.
Bravo Slavi, says DM James. Thank you. So $20, James, man, coming in strong,
coming in hot.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much, buddy. Yeah, as I think I was telling you guys, like Greg Gillespie, you know, our friend who did Dragon Slayer, he was saying the same thing. He was running into the same issues. So, you know, we all know Greg's not shy about his opinions, although it doesn't come through his work. And just like you guys, I mean, you guys just do straight work.
Right.
But you do wonder if your reputation does precede you, and maybe it's not a ban, but maybe it's just, well, I'll just put these guys at the bottom of the list. We'll get to them eventually.
Right.
It's kind of a soft ban, I guess. Doc Flamingo, member for a month. Thank you so much, Doc. Do appreciate it. Thank you to all you new members. Snake Oil Sean being very kind last.
Hooked it up last week.
For sure. All right. Well, first of all, before we talk about Baptism by Fire, we were in sort of a people thought it was a beef, right, Pundit, about Cynthia Williams.
Yeah, that's funny. You know, I wanted to point out something, another thing that your intro reminded me. So Cynthia Williams is gone, right? Which means that a woman, a female executive, has been essentially let go from Hasbro, and yet Kyle Brinks is still there.
I know. This guy's like a cockroach.
The guy who says that white people can't leave D&D soon enough, he sure is hanging around.
Oh, he's clinging like a tick.
It always reminds me of that scene in the movie Wolf where James Spader was, he had taken Jack Nicholson's position. He'd taken his wife, and they were in the bathroom, James Spader was pretending like, oh man, I can't believe all this has happened. Just, I'll do anything you want. I'll resign. I'll do that. And Jack Nicholson calls his bluff. He's like, I want you to resign today. And he's like, well, I can't do that. It's like, that's the one thing I think about with Kyle Brink is, he's had ample opportunity to give his job up to somebody else, a woman, a minority, and has not done it. Doc Flamingo, $5. I used to dress for the job I wanted, but HR said my Crusader armor was upsetting Yusef. Let's put a pin in that about Crusades, because I think the RPG that you've are just about ready to release, Baptism by Fire, is great. But I've always wondered why you haven't done a kind of like a Crusades centric RPG, Pundit, and we can either get to that in a little bit, or
Sword and Caravan. In Sword and Caravan, you can play the third, fourth, technically, and fifth Crusade. I mean, it's got everything you need for it.
You got to unify that into like a whole rule set, where you can play as, who's it, Solomon? Who's the big
Saladin?
Saladin, yes, yeah. One of his
already did.
Well, he's in there.
Silk Road. You've got the stats for Saladin, for Richard the Lionheart, for Bohemond One Eye, for Leopold of Austria, every single crusader that was important in the third and fifth crusade, and all of the other figures of note, all of the Saladin's family, everybody's in there. So you can do that if you want to. Right now with Sword and Caravan and Heroes and Villains of the Silk Road. So
there you go. You can cobble it together if you want to do your own Crusades campaign. So, all right. First of all, let's get into baptism here. Why Poland?
Great cover art.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Beautiful.
Let me pull that up.
I think that cover turned out amazingly well. Yeah,
it did.
Oh,
thanks, Ed. I appreciate that.
As far as why Poland, I mean, I've done a whole series of settings that are medieval authentic, right? The first one was Dark Albion, which was set in England in the War of the Roses. The second one was what I just showed you here, Sword and Caravan, which is set in the Middle East in the Third Crusade, from the Third Crusade all the way to the invasion of Genghis Khan, right? So you can run, if you want to run a game in the Holy Land, in the Levant, and have play through the entire 30-year period of that time of the conflict of the Crusades, and that's high medieval, right? Because War of the Roses was late medieval, so I'm going backwards in time, right? So now Baptism of Fire is an example of early medieval, and I could have done early medieval in England or in France, but of course I've got a particular interest in Poland, being descended from Polish aristocracy, right? And and it was something that I thought would be really interesting to do. Now, my first thought when I was thinking about doing a game set in Poland was possibly doing one set like at the peak of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, around the same time as Dark Albion, right? During the period of like Casimir the Great and stuff like that, Casimir Jagiellon. But then I figured, well, my other interest is to be able to have different settings that cover different periods, because the early Middle Ages are radically different from the High Middle Ages, and those are different from the Late Middle Ages, So I thought, well, another very interesting period that's been even less covered is the beginning of Poland, which is essentially what Baptism of Fire is. It's set at the turn of the 11th century, right, from about 990 until 1050 or so, and it's during the time when the first royal dynasty of Poland is at its beginning. And, you know, the interesting thing about the history of Poland is that in Poland, they don't mark how long Poland has existed as a country by the time that, based on the crowning of the first Polish king. They base it on the time that the first unifier of Poland of that same family, the Piast, who never became king, he was only a Grand Duke, Mieszko I, was baptized. So that is the date by which the Poles mark the history of Poland. Is when
that is
began
interesting
to become a Christian nation, right?
Yeah, I was gonna follow up on that. One second here. Another rapidly becoming the MVP of the night, DM James, our friend. Why Poland? Because Slavic history and mythology kicks Western Europe's behind.
Yeah, so that is another important consideration, right? That in each of these settings, I've tried to have like the monsters, the magic, the items, the type of adventuring are localized to the areas, right? So in Dark Albion, you have the classic take on a lot of the monsters that we know, you know, that appear in D&D, but that in their medieval version are somewhat or considerably different. And then in Sword and Caravan, the monsters, the magic are all taken from Middle Eastern and Silk Road and Chinese sources. You know, that they're based on the local cultures. And likewise, Baptism of Fire allowed me to again look at a completely different collection of mythology and monsters. And the Slavic monsters are incredibly weird and interesting. I have a whole chapter in there on like the Slavic pagan religion and Slavic magic and all of that sort of thing, which is, again, it's different than what the other books have. So it means that whichever one of these setting books you get, you're getting different material, compatible, all of it, to Lion and Dragon, right? But with different source origins. So you're not just getting the same set of stuff every time. You know, you're getting a real variety.
Bruce Maximus has a question for $10. Thank you, Bruce. Much appreciated, my friend. Question: what cultural norms or expectations should players of Baptism of Fire be prepped for in this game? In English settings, Lion and Dragon for the win. It's don't deal with fairies. What is it in Poland? Is there a rule of thumb in this game along those lines?
Well, you know, first of all, in all of the medieval authentic games, one of the things I do in the introduction, which unlike a lot of introductions to RPGs, is something that the DM really needs to kind of read and then regurgitate to his players. I talk about what the actual medieval paradigm is like. So, talking about things that in D&D, we think D&D is medieval fantasy, but it's not really, right? It's like Renaissance fair fantasy or something, right? So the differances are things like the importance of social class, right? The importance of religion, some elements about, gender roles, about how women would interact in the setting. And also the nature of the pre-industrial society and the social links that are necessary for survival, about basically the structure of society, of culture, of civilization against the savagery of barbarism that is still threatening there. And of course, in early medieval period, that's even more prevalent, right? It's more significant. Like in the Albion setting, which is set in 15th century England, you have the majority of the nation is a very kind of civilized place altogether, right? Like there's human crime and stuff like that, but magic, dark things, monsters, they're found, you have to go out to like the hills or the mountains or the deepest part of the forest, and that's where you have the monsters, right? In early medieval Poland, in the Poland of Baptism of Fire, one of the things that I realized quickly when I was researching the history of the setting is that the population density was extremely low. And so what you have is kind of what, like that motto they had for 4E, which is like points of light, that actually kind of applies here, because you have these areas where there are, you know, the cities and the settlements, the keeps or whatever, and around there you have the people, right? And then if you go more than a couple of days away from any of these, you end up in Wilderlands, right? So the monsters are much closer to being kind of next door to you than in the other settings that I've dealt with, right? Like in the Silk Road, if you're traveling in the middle of the desert, yeah, you might run into something, right? But in early medieval Poland, it was what you could call a demon haunted world, right? There was creatures, magic, monsters of all kinds all over the place, and they were very common. The other thing that really needs to be emphasized in Baptism of Fire is specifically about that growth of Christianity, right? In this setting, this is the beginning of the Christianization of Poland. So there are Christians and there are pagans, and a lot of the kind of events that happen in this time period are about the Christians spreading that growth of Christianity and pagans resisting it, you know, and fighting and fighting back against it. And you know, ultimately they lose, but during that period, there was a real danger, right? That like there were, not only in Poland, but in all of these kind of countries in that area of Europe at the time, there were a large number of pagan peoples that were, you know, there were a lot of Christian martyrs that went there to as missionaries and ended up getting themselves killed because of it. So the importance of faith becomes even more significant in this game, right? And the game is set by default to assume that your characters are kind of part of the Piast Polish structure, right? So they're by default in the game you're Christian, although you could in theory do a campaign where your characters are pagans.
Right here we're seeing oh, by the way, Doc Flamingo, $5. Funny, don't deal with fairies is advice that only becomes more and more relevant with time. Don't we know it, Doc? Thank you so much. $5. You're seeing here, you know, some of the classes you can play. And again, and maybe we can circle Chris in here. This is obviously a little different than Lion and Dragon, where I think you used a lot more like public domain art. Not so with this publication. This is in full color and it is beautiful. Chris, can you talk about the artwork in this game a little bit?
Not at all. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, let's go. Move on.
Next question. No, absolutely. Yeah, it's the art was a real struggle. You know, Pundit had the book, his portion of the book done, you know, many moons ago, and I really struggled trying to find artists to come up with the right style of artwork. You know, he's very clear that he wanted to stick with something with, you know, a very historical medieval theme to it. And to be honest, there's only a handful of artists that kind of work in that style. You know, neither of us wanted anything real, you know, cartoonish or anime looking and that sort of a thing. And so
would have been inappropriate for sure.
Right.
And by the way, Disco, unfortunately the game is not available yet. We had expected it to be, but Drive-thru is dragging their heels. So sit tight. I'll let you guys know, you know, or you can follow Pundit or Chris on Twitter. They will certainly let you guys know when it's available. Go ahead, Chris, continue.
And so, you know, in my search for artwork, like I said, I found maybe 2 or 3 guys that could do the work. But they were too busy to do the volume of work I needed, and they were wanting to charge, you know, hundreds or thousands of dollars even for the cover and that sort of thing. So I ended up, initially we did spend some money on a real artist to do the cover. That didn't turn out the way we wanted, so I decided to, you know, kind of mess around with Midjourney and see what I could do. And, you know, to my surprise, what I did is I was able to come up with a handful of artists that were, you know, from the classical period that did that style of art, right? All these guys are long dead and their works are all public domain. And I was able to take that and use it to curate images on Midjourney that were in the same style and that sort of a thing. So almost all of the images, I'd say about 80%, were generated by me through Midjourney.
We've talked before about, we're using real artists versus AI, and it's like, it seems like you made a good faith effort to try to source a real artist, but it's like, if they're too busy and they can't do it, it's like,
right.
Are you guys just supposed to lose money on this stuff? So,
the thing is, if I go to a guy and I say, okay, how much do you charge for a half-page image or something like that? And he's like, oh, it's $500 or $600 or $1,000 or whatever. And then I tell him, okay, well, I need 300 of those images, and you've only got 3 months to do it. It's just not going to happen. First of all, it would cost me, I figured it up on paper just as a joke, and it was close to $1 million, and it was going to take like 100 years, for him to finish it. It wasn't going to work. So, I was kind of standoffish about using any kind of AI generated art. And, when I tried it and I had some really good results, and I showed some of the stuff to Pundit and he liked it. And I ended up redoing the cover myself, with that same, program. And then, all that stuff also took a lot of, extra work with, Photoshop and those sort of things, so it wasn't like you can just put a prompt in and immediately get what you want,
This is good stuff, though. I mean, this is stuff Miguel and Sylvia, I think, would be proud of.
I think that cover art's really, really nice.
It is awesome.
Yeah, let me go back to that.
Yeah, I was looking for something with a little heavy metal look to it, and to be honest, to be honest, I wasn't sure Pundit was going to like it, because I thought, well, maybe it's a little too edgy, and I showed it to him, and he lost his shit. Yeah, he loved it. So
everybody who looked at it says it's great, So
it's a perfect cover for this game.
It is. It's badass.
James Gang, $5 again. Every pond, pool, or river could hide a rusalka. Every forest is full of hostile witches and leshi. Baba Yaga is a thing, as is Chernobog and Strigoi. Well, Baba Yaga is in the book. She is in
everything
all of those
is in the book. Yeah.
Yes, everything you mentioned is in the book.
There you go.
And in particular, witches and the witch cults of the Slavic pagans are a big feature there.
I mean, you think about it, like every cool monster or story you've ever really heard of has kind of been stolen from Slavic myth. I mean, you got vampires and werewolves and witches, and I mean,
Kaiser Sose?
Kaiser Sose is probably in there. Yeah. We could make that a stretch goal on.
There you go. So Pundit, you kind of outline the setting. Who, like in this period, like who is the historic enemy of the Poles in this period? Is it the Holy Roman Empire? Is that who they kind of?
It's actually kind of interesting because Poland at the time, like right up until the basically the beginning of the timeline of this setting, Poland was a disparate grouping of tribes and peoples that then started to get unified by the PS, who were the ones who they got the killer app of Christianity, right? That allowed them to unify all these different groups under one social and cultural and religious banner. And it also opened up for them trade and interaction with the rest of the Christian world. And so one of the main protagonists in a way of that Christianization was the Holy Roman Empire. That's the Germans, right? And so at times, for a big part of this history, there were moments where the PS were allies of the Holy Roman Emperor, and they were technically vassals of the Holy Roman Emperor up to 1025. But depending on who was Holy Roman Emperor at this time, there were also moments where they were at war with them. Poland had a number of powerful neighbors, right? The Holy Roman Empire, the Kingdom of Bohemia, to a lesser degree, the Moravians. And then on the other side, towards the east, they had the Kiev Rus, right? And all of these were sometimes allies and sometimes enemies. But there was moments of conflict with all of these different groups that at different times were trying to invade Poland, but at other times Poland was invading them. So there was a lot of warfare going on there. But I think really, like, the biggest conflict in the game, I mean, you can that's certainly covered in the book, and you can have characters, I don't know, going on campaign to invade Lusatia or to fight the Bohemians. But the bigger conflict in the campaign was internally, that there were large areas of Poland, especially, the whole northern Baltic coast, Pomerania, was ardently pagan, and the Polish king had tried to Christianize them early on, and then they overthrew that and rebelled and burned down the cathedral and everything, and they had continued to be resistant for pretty much the entire time period of this setting. So and then there were smaller groups of pagans in other parts of Poland that were similarly resistant.
Mercurius asks, is Koshai the Deathless included? I don't know who that is. I'm sure you probably do. Or do you?
Yeah, but no, Koshai is not included. It's just that's not. There are a number of things. There are a number of features of either Slavic mythology or of like Polish history that people might be familiar with, and some of them are not in there because they're not specifically Polish, and some of them are not in there because it's the wrong time period. So you won't get like winged hussars, right? The Polish knights with the heavy armor and the metal wings, because that doesn't happen for like 700 years. This is way too early for that, and various things like that you're not going to see in the book. But what's interesting too, though, is that like what you do see is a Poland that is a lot different than what some of the things that people most associate with kind of Poland, as in the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, Poland in the High Middle Ages, what that was like,
Bruce asks for $10. Actually, this one's for Chris. Do you find that publishing for more niche customers grants a better returning base? I know that breadth of appeal is always a tricky knife edge to walk, niche versus generalized.
Well, I mean, to be honest, everything I've ever published has been probably a niche product. So, the only thing that's got a little bit of breadth to it so far would be, Mad Scribe magazine. And that in particular, I mean, I just started it last year. So, I sell thousands of copies, but not, not anything really fantastic. That it's a good point, though. And I think if I had somebody who, that I published for that that maybe wasn't as hated by the left, or or I don't know, maybe a little more, I use the word careful or something with, if they, I don't know. I mean, it's like, I started my publishing business because I got banned from a lot of spaces, and people wouldn't review my products or wouldn't help sell my stuff. So it was just kind of a way for me to create a platform, for I don't want to necessarily say more conservative gamers, but certainly more libertarian gamers.
We're very thankful that you have, because it is kind of nice to have, I guess, a port in the storm. I mean, I like Mad Scribe magazine, and in fact, we'll get to that. That's another thing that's kind of been delayed a little bit by Drive-thru, but the next issue is ready to go. In fact, you sent me a PDF, and the reason you guys should all be getting that when it does come out is because your boy here wrote an article for the for the latest edition of Mad Scribe. We'll get into that in a little bit. We'll keep the focus on Baptism of Fire for now. Before we go ahead,
hold on, before you do that,
go ahead.
So a while back someone asked, is this available on Amazon right now?
So I mean, to be honest, yes and no.
Disco made it sound like he bought it on Amazon, but maybe is waiting for the order to be fulfilled.
That's correct.
Okay.
So it's listed on Amazon. I don't know that he'll get it anytime before anyone else.
Right.
Amazon does this weird thing where, so like when all my books are sold anywhere books are sold. Right. I always use that as my kind of my pitch. But, so I make an effort to put them in Target and Walmart and Barnes & Noble, Amazon. All the books can be found, obviously, through Drive-thru and that sort of thing. And so I have to send these off to all these other companies at the same time. Some of them are quicker than others. And Ingram in particular is a company that deals with Amazon, and they're actually coincidentally the people who publish or print all the stuff for Drive-thru as well, which is interesting because Ingram has approved the book and has listed it as something that you can purchase, and they did that 2 weeks ago. But Drive-thru, who uses Ingram, says that it's not ready yet. So I'm not quite sure, and I have heard other people.
Yeah,
I've heard other people.
May 2nd to May 4th.
What's that?
Disco Barbarian saying he bought it and will get it between May 2nd and 4th is what they're advertising.
Well,
about 2 weeks.
Kudos to him if he gets it. However, I will point out to our fans, we get a really shit royalty from Amazon. I think we make about $1, and Pundit and I have to split that 50-50.
Jeez.
So
Drive-thru is the way to go for.
If you get it through Drive-thru, we make about $4, $5, something like that. So I would prefer Drive-thru.
Also, correct me if I'm wrong here, Mad Scribe, but on Drive-thru, the only thing that's available is the soft cover version. Right.
No. On Amazon, it's only the soft cover.
Sorry, on Drive-thru. I'm on Amazon. I meant to say, right. On
Drive-thru has hardcover and soft cover, both in premium and standard. So.
And you can also on Drive-thru get it with the PDF.
Yes, the PDF is free if you buy the hardcover, or any physical book.
So if you're looking for the hardcover, or if you want, if you're looking for the hardcover, or if you want to be able to have the PDF with your book, you should wait for when Drive-thru releases it.
Right.
Just going to be a couple weeks, guys. It's just going to be a couple weeks. So.
Amazon does this thing too, where obviously Drive-thru has, you have to sign up for this exclusivity thing with the digital products, right? And so I could tell them that I don't want to have an exclusivity clause with my contract with them, but then I don't get a higher payout. So we would lose money on the sales just to be able to offer the PDF at Amazon. And then Amazon takes a cut of that too. So, it wouldn't.
Bezos needs a new plane.
Right. It wouldn't be in our best interest to do that. So the PDFs are only available through Drive-thru. You can buy the PDF. Guys. Yeah, you can get the PDF by itself, or you can get a free PDF if you buy the book.
There you go. James Gang, $10. Pundit, could I make a character in this game who travels to Constantinople to become a Varangian Guard and defend the city from the Muslims? P.S. Ordered. There you go. Thank you, James. I'm sure they thank you too.
James, thank you for ordering. What I'll say is actually, yes, this is exactly the time period that the Varangian Guard is created in. They were mercenaries from the Kiev Rus that ended up serving as elite troops for the Emperor of Constantinople. But I'll note that at this point, like when they were created, their original purpose was not to fight Muslims. They were recruited to fight in a civil war that happened in the Byzantine Empire, right? So they were recruited by the emperor to fight his enemies that were trying to overthrow him, and that's the actual origin of it. Of course, later on, the Varangian Guard did become very famous for being frontline elite troops in fighting against the Muslim forces that were trying to take out the Byzantine Empire. So yeah, it's true. And yes, you could in theory play them. Now they're not technically Polish, they're Kiev Rus, but it would be very easy to do that if you wanted to, though. The gazetteer doesn't go as far as Byzantium. It mentions Constantinople, and of course it mentions the emperor, because of course the Eastern Empire was an incredibly powerful state at this time, right? But obviously the dividing line in the East is between the parts of the Slavic countries that embrace Catholicism versus the ones that embrace the Orthodox Christianity, and that dividing line happens right between Poland and, well, what is today the Ukraine, right?
Jack Elmy, $5, asks, thank you, Jack, by the way, does Baptism of Fire include any adventures, or are there any plans to publish any? I guess that's a good good segue to ask too. Like, is this game printed under a license of any kind, Pundit? And will there be adventures? Are there adventures, and will there be?
Well, as always with my products, I've always taken the position that if people want to make supplements for my games, that I will happily grant permission, right? And I don't know, I mean, like, there have been people that have published stuff for, especially Star Adventurer, for some reason, I guess because it's sci-fi and whatever, and there's a lot of stuff you can do with that. And certainly if someone wanted to do stuff for Baptism of Fire, they could do it, and I don't know, maybe even if it was interesting enough, maybe Mad Scribe would want to publish it. I can't speak to that. But as far as adventures, so in the book, in Baptism of Fire, you don't have an adventure like a module or something like that. But what you do have is an enormous section that has to do with kind of the sandbox experience of wandering through the Wilderlands, of dealing with cities, of events. There's a set of mechanics for running your own domain in some territory that you take control of. And all of this stuff is filled with adventure seeds in it. As far as actual adventures, yeah, there are probably going to be adventures that I will be making for Baptism of Fire that'll probably be, for the most part, they'll probably be in as issues of the Pundit Files, which is my fortnightly journal, I guess, a periodical that I put out at the Red Room store. And just like I've done some other adventures for that in that series already, there'll undoubtedly be adventures that'll be set in the Baptism of Fire setting once it comes out, especially because I'm currently have been for a while now running a Baptism of Fire campaign. So every time I run a campaign, there's stuff that ends up being adventure worthy that I write up as adventures. So you'll probably be able to get adventures for Baptism of Fire by picking up issues of the Pundit Files, which are only available at the Red Room store, and they only cost $3.50. So it's a good deal.
We're seeing right now one of the classes, I'd say there's a robust field to choose from. This one kind of always caught my eye as I was going through it. The Holy Man. You explain a little about if I sit down to play this game and I'm like, hey, this Holy Man, tell me more about it. What's the elevator pitch for it?
So first of all, I should say that Baptism of Fire is a bit different from Albion or from Sword and Caravan, because those two are just setting books, right? You need Lion and Dragon to play them, or any other OSR game, I guess. But Baptism of Fire is a complete rule set and a complete setting, so which is part of why it's so big. And the rule set is essentially Lion and Dragon, but it's been It's been expanded with some of the stuff that's come out over the years since Lion and Dragon was published. So, it's got the bigger critical tables. It's got the bigger background tables. It's added some stuff about magic that was in some of the old school companion and stuff like that. And there are a few changes that I've made. And probably the biggest change that I've made in this setting is that I've taken out the cleric, which I had originally had because it's, I want to have the 4 core D&D classes in it. But the cleric is actually the least medieval authentic thing about Lion and Dragon, right? Because it just doesn't quite fit. So here I finally corrected this by putting in 2 religious classes. One is the Holy Man, which you're seeing on the screen right now. And the other one is the Holy Warrior. And so this divides that the aspect of the cleric into 2 different religious classes. One is kind of the saint, the missionary, the guy that he's not a warrior, but he's a miracle worker and a preacher, which is very important also in the setting, because like I mentioned, in this time period you had missionaries that were going out in Poland to these places like Masovia and Pomerania and in other areas, preaching to the pagans and trying to convert them to the Christian faith. And so this is a non-combat class. They have knowledges. There are 3 different subclasses of holy man. Like you could play a priest or a monk or a lay person, a lay preacher. And they have miraculous powers that are focused on kind of these, the non-combat miraculous abilities, right? Healing people and, and defending against sorceries and things like that. And then on the other side, you have the Holy Warrior, which is also something that was very much a feature of this time period, which were these devoutly Christian warriors, knights, basically, but they weren't really called knights at the time, that were fighting primarily as expressions of their faith to protect the Christian territories against monsters, against pagans, against all of the threats to the Christians in this world. And so you've got the fighting religious character, and then you have the non-fighting religious character. And that's the reason for having 2 classes.
All right, so Great Cthulhu, €10. God, that's like what? Crazy Mouse, like $100 or something?
A little bit more.
Yeah. Let's see if I can peer over and read this. It's kind of blocking me. Oh, there we go. Pundit plans to expand to a Eastern European range given success. Since Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is coming, a Czech variant about Sigmund Hussite's upheaval could profit from video game hype. There you go. Synergy, I guess they call it. Thank you, Great Cthulhu, for €10.
Well, I haven't really considered that. And, the way I've been operating, I think that there might be, like there can always be source books and things like that. But, that's a very different time period we're talking about. The Hussite wars were in the 15th century, and it's much closer to the time period of Dark Albion than of Baptism of Fire, right? And part of what I tried to do with my books is to present significantly different time periods and cultures, so again, all 3 of the kind of Lion and Dragon settings are in very different times and in different areas of the European world, let's say.
All right, so I'm going to point out, just from a nuts and bolts perspective, a couple of things that kind of caught my eye and that I like. How can I do that when our friend James, he's relentless tonight, and don't we love it? $10. Having a ton of problems finding this on Drive-thru RPG. That's because right now it's not available on Drive-thru, James. We thought it would be. They are dragging their feet. I don't know if you heard earlier. It'll be there probably in the next couple weeks. Greg Gillespie, behind the scenes, guys, he was telling me the same stuff. And I don't, like Chris alluded to, could just be the way things are, could just be like, hey, some people get put to the bottom of the list. Who knows? It'll be available eventually. Let's have faith there.
It's logistical issues. I don't really, I'm suspecting that it's probably happening.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that could go wrong without them having it out for us in any kind of way.
Exactly. Yeah. So let's give them the benefit of the doubt here, and let's just say that they're swamped.
And
that's what Greg thought.
That comment goes right also to Mark C. He wanted to know where I could find it. Drive-thru RPG. It'll be a little while.
Yep.
So just hang in there.
Hang tight, guys. I know we're asking you. I mean, I didn't want to cancel this because, I'd kind of already made up my mind. I wanted to talk to him anyway. So I know it's a little odd, but
consider this a sneak preview. It's the trailer.
Yeah, a little teaser for you. So, and when it does come out, I'll announce it here, as soon as, the next show after. And if you follow me on Twitter, I'm sure any of the three of us will make sure that people know. So just kind of put it on a sticky note right now, baptism of fire, and just make sure you check back if you're kind of out of the loop. Should have called it Polish sword lesbians on fire, and you'd have been faster. I like that. I actually like that.
I do have a burning witch image in there, so
All right, a couple of things I liked from a mechanical point of view as I was going through this. They were kind enough to provide me with an advanced copy. And just, I don't know if maybe you guys have similar thoughts, you in the chat, or, maybe you don't. But here's a couple things that caught my eye. I like this. So armor class, this is kind of like Lion and Dragon. So what we're dealing with here is sort of something that's probably a little closer to 3rd edition D&D than it is, like basic D&D. So we have ascending armor class. And one of the things I like is that, the armor class works differently if you are a warrior. If you're one of the warrior classes, you get more use out of your armor. So if you see here on the screen, like armor type, like a chain hauberk, if one of the non-warrior classes throws it on, all right, your AC is 14. Guess what? If you're a fighter, or someone similar, your AC is 16. I like that. Thoughts, Pundit?
Well, that particular rule has been around in Lion and Dragon too, right? That's the same.
Yeah.
The same concept. The difference is I slightly expanded here because there are more than one warrior class now. So there's the trained classes, as you see in the little asterisks. There are the fighter, the holy warrior, and the witch hunter. They all have armor training, whereas the other classes don't, right? And this is all part of one of the things that sometimes bugs me in regular D&D is that it seems like a lot of times your straightforward warrior gets a bit of short shrift, right? So I always try to make sure that in my games, warriors are exceptional, and anybody who's played Lion and Dragon and gets to mid-level even will see that like warriors quickly become vastly more effective at combat than any other class, which is what they should be. They're not just slightly tougher characters. They're characters that are going to be able to kick ass much better in a fight.
Yeah, so and as you said, a lot of these relate to Lion and Dragon, but if you don't happen to have that game, this might be new to you. The way they do initiative is 1d6 with some bonuses. So what I like here too, mechanically, again, if you only move, you get a +2 to your initiative score. If you take no action at all, you get a +2 to your next round initiative score, so you can kind of refocus. I like little rules like that. Also, weapon modifiers affect initiative. So this is kind of going back to the old kind of like 2nd edition D&D weapon speed, which you had to add to your initiative. Is that correct?
Yes, it's similar. It's a lot less complex than that one was, but yeah. So basically, if you're fighting with a very small weapon, you get a bonus to initiative, versus if you're fighting with a very large weapon, you get a penalty. It's that sort of thing.
Yep. And if you have multiple attacks, I like the way they do it here, rather than kind of all at once. If you rolled a 5 on your initiative and you have 3 attacks, you attack on 5, 4, and 3. You don't get them all at once, which is pretty, this is way more realistic. You can't just, in a system like this, it's not boom, boom, boom all at once. So I do like that they're kind of spread out just a little bit. Let's see.
Which makes sense. As
Yeah.
you're swinging your sword,
Yeah.
you know, you have to recoil and bring it back up.
Absolutely. Yeah, I kind of thought that. I like that now you have some pretty good critical tables here. We'll just do a sneak peek of
in
one.
Lion and Dragon, there was only a single table, right? But I expanded that in the old school companion so that it was tables that were by weapon type. That allows it to be more to reflect a bit more on the type of damage you take based on the type of weapon that you're being hit with, or claws or whatever.
Yeah, it's not quite ICE, like arms law and that, but it's definitely a step in that direction because there's a couple different, like you said, critical weapons tables. And again, if you're a fighter, if you're trained in the art of killing, you get a bonus if you roll a critical hit, if you roll a 20. And you can add, and you can kind of see here, it gets worse and worse until finally you get 21, an extreme and vicious blow, make a saving throw, or you are instantly slain. So some goodies in there. I liked, the critical table. I liked it. I dug it. Really, the mechanics in the game to me seem pretty easy peasy, Japanesey, easy to pick up. And the setting, and I got to credit not just the writing, obviously the writing, it's Pundit. It's going to be very well researched. But man, the artwork. I don't want to give away too much. You've seen a little bit here. You guys just have to buy the book if you want to see more. But man, the artwork really does enhance the kind of narrative in here. So
I mean, you
great
could pretty
job.
much take down that Bo Derek poster you have in your room and just put up one of these.
Well, the cover, you ought to sell that cover as a poster. Damn, I think
I'll tell you, Double D, if you really want to, if you really want to see an image that's going to influence a lot of people, flip towards the back of the book in the legend and infamy section.
You have a page number for me there, Chris?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's in the high 70s, I believe.
70s?
Or no. Well, I mean like 2 or 370s or something.
All right. Yeah.
It's that last section. It starts to talk about. There you go. I want you to zoom in on that photo.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That dude's a king.
Legend and infamy. Who do you think that is? I'll give you a hint of the prompt that I put in for that. It's Trump.
Is it really?
Really? Didn't know that.
I love it. There's your little Easter egg, guys. If you weren't already sold, good Lord, now you got to. I mean, good Lord, that's a
I managed to put Trump in the book. I mean, come on, you got to get it.
Trump as a Slavic king. There we go.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful image, though. It really is.
I figured, there's no one better to, exemplify both legend and infamy. So,
We have our friend Avenger here. Seriously, those be ready to buy and run at VengerCon. Yeah, somebody will probably bring this out. Yep. Remember, guys, I'll be going to VengerCon this July. If you're look, guys, I'm driving 8 hours or so to get to Madison to hang out with Venger, meet him, and all the rest of the guys and game. My wife's coming. Rogan is coming. Are you still going, Rogan?
So far, so good.
Bam. There we go. So the party's coming, guys. So if you're within that distance of Madison, go to Venger's site, check them out.
Yeah. I don't know. That's going to be, I would love to go. I'm so mad that I live so far away, but it's, I'm in the middle of Georgia. So
yeah, that's a bit of a haul. Yeah. So no,
yeah, I'm a bit far away too.
yeah. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm
closer to Pundit, I think,
Yeah. Pundit, I would be remiss, before we let you guys go, if I didn't ask you about, tell us about the Beaver Master.
Oh yeah. Okay. So this is something. I mean, I was, I had to do quite a bit of research, and my academic expertise was not on Polish history specifically, so I had to look up a lot of stuff, and it was much to my amusement that I found out that, like the very early Polish state was pretty minimalist. It was basically the Piasts were the most powerful aristocratic clan, you could say, and they had administration in their lands, and when they were growing, it was largely by the kind of these not exactly feudalism, but these alliances that they had with the other nobles, the other magnates. And there are all these important noble families that exist in the setting in all different parts of Poland that had enormous power and influence at this time. It was a pretty decentralized state, in other words. But when Boleslav became the first king of Poland, he needed to have some structure. And one of the things that happened in kind of his own territories at one point was that there was a serious problem with, ironically, kind of an environmental issue, right? That there was an excess of hunting of beavers that was threatening to wipe out the beavers, right? And beavers are very important.
Show.
They created, their dams and things like that. They affected the whole ecosystem, and in a place where you have a lot of rivers and a lot of kind of marshland and things like that, it was causing problems. So he passed a law that prohibited commoners from being able to hunt beavers, and he instituted a group of well, originally they were kind of game wardens, right, that were under the authority of one of the officers. There were various officers of the Polish crown in the very early period, one of which was like the cupbearer, and one was the sword bearer. Those are like the main secretary and the guy that was like the head of the army. And then there was the Beaver Master, who was the guy that was in charge of protecting, the beavers originally, right? But over time, the kind of the Beaver Masters in that early period became their role was expanded. You're talking about the excessive growth of the state here, of the federal state. Their role is expanded to being the enforcers of the king's law throughout the land. So in the campaign, one of the possible kind of campaign setups that you could have is that the player characters could be Beaver Masters, right? Agents of the crown who have to go around and maintain the king's law in the land, And I just thought it was very funny that was what they were actually called, and it makes for a fantastic setup for a campaign where if you want to have the player characters being directly, agents of the king,
Yep, the Beaver Master. Yeah, it's little touches like that. You could tell if you go through this. You did your homework, especially when you're getting down to Beaver Masters. So I wouldn't have expected anything less. Of course, your stuff is always top notch, in research and everywhere else too. Hungar, 7 months. Thank you, buddy.
That's crazy. 7 months.
Good to see you. I guess just spiraling into just maybe like a quick, just general discussion of how you run your games. I know this is kind of going around Twitter. I just kind of saw it kind of on the periphery. It seems to be some people are like, hey, low or no prep is the way to go. How much preparation do you actually do? And I guess, Pundit will go to you first, but Chris, if you're running a game currently, do you guys do a lot of prep, or is it kind of a lot of ad hoc, off the cuff, so to speak?
Well, in my case, I've talked about this on my own channel sometimes. What I do is I make a lot of preparation of the campaign setting before I'm starting the campaign. Right now, obviously, if you buy one of my books, you don't even have to do that because I've done that for you, right? In Sword and Caravan or Dark Albion or now in Baptism of Fire, you have all of this material, and part of that material has to be having random generators, which is a key part to me of doing the kind of, for lack of a better term, sandbox play in a way that it reflects the world. Because if you're using just any old random table, then that's where you start getting incongruities, right? But if you set things up to match what is right in the different parts of the setting, like you have to have detailed encounter tables, detailed events tables, that sort of thing. And if you if you've set all that up at the beginning, then when you're actually playing, the play can go quite seamlessly. And this has happened in both my, two of my current campaigns right now are, I've got a Sword and Caravan campaign running. I've got a Baptism of Fire campaign running. And I have to do almost no preparation for those because, session by session, because the player characters are kind of deciding part of how they react to things in the world. The events that are going on in the world are partly dictated in the case of those games because they're historical by the timeline, world events, if you want to call it that. And then as they're going along in different things, when they go somewhere, there are potential encounters, there are adventure seeds that are set up as rumor tables and things like that. There are event tables when they get to cities, and there are tables in my books about like the probability that you will get attention from powerful people if you hang around a place too long. All kinds of stuff that auto-generate plot events of the setting, and the player characters then choose how they react to those, and that leads to other stuff. And so I've had it happen a few times in my Sword and Caravan game that my player characters or rather my players are really impressed with the adventure that I set up for the session. Then I have to tell them, no, I didn't set up anything for the session. This is all happening spontaneously as it goes along, but it's because that's the result of using this combination of the generators and the setting material, And if you do that in an effective way, it looks as though there's a plot line or something like that, that there's something, an organized series of events, but it doesn't look like a novel because it has the unpredictability of a real world. And that's one of the essential aspects for me of the role-playing experience, that it shouldn't seem like your characters are stuck in the plot of a novel. It should seem like they're in a real world that is coherent, but that can have really unexpected things happen fairly spontaneously within that context of the world.
Is this a live game or is this all virtual?
Well, I've got a couple of different, I'm currently running 4 campaigns, and of those, only one of them is virtual, which is the Sword and Caravan game that we played online. The other ones are all in person, which are.
And how often do you play?
Well, I play 2 of the games one week and 2 of the games the other week, right? on the weekends, pretty much. So the campaigns are like coming up this weekend, I've got Baptism of Fire, and then my now 11-year-long World of the Last Sun DCC campaign. And then the next week, it's the Invisible College 1930s, which is something that started relatively recently. And if you want to get the details on how to run the Invisible College, and it's set in the 1930s, in the period just before World War II, you can check out the Pundit Files number 9. It's a big source book, but it's still only $3.50.
Nice.
And then on the next day, it's Sword and Caravan.
Schedule is full. Hungar, the Starvarian, wishes us all hopes all of us are having a good night, except RPG Pundit. Haha. We're gonna assume that's a little joke and not on purpose. Oh, and look, Jeffram is sneaking one in there. If you gonna grab that. Got it?
Nope. Yep.
Nope. Yep. There we go. Jeffram Denkar, Canadian, $5. What's on the horizon for Mad Scribe Games and RPG Pundit now that this project is more or less behind you, other than its rollout? Anything? Chris, why don't we start with you?
Yeah. So, Mad Scribe Games in general. Now that I'm done with this book, I'm working on a couple of other projects. I'm collaborating with several people who don't want to be named at the moment, so that's fine. We're working on a card game. I'm working on a board game. I'm looking at doing in the future here some choose your own adventure books. I'm continuing, obviously, with the magazine. I'm working on an issue of the magazine right now, and I just finished an issue last month that has still yet to be printed by Drive-thru. So, we're waiting on those sort of things. Anytime Pundit wants to do something, I am ready and willing. He's had a lot of good success with the Red Room lately because they're able to print his stuff out very quickly, especially some of the the shorter Pundit presents and that sort of thing, and that's working really well. And I don't, he can publish with whoever he wants. It doesn't bother me. I know I'm not fast, and that's the thing. And of course, this last book, especially because it was a lot of work. It took us a long time.
Sometimes you want different things from different
right,
like the Pundit files is sort of made
Pundit
to
files
be
is
kind of
PDF only, right? And it's very small and it's very lo-fi, right? It's not not a big production. Even though the Mad Hermit, who is the guy that does the production, he does a really great job, right? But it's not at the kind of level of intricacy that you see in Sword and Caravan or in Baptism.
Different tools for different jobs, right?
But yeah, I mean, I jokingly told him before, I was like, the next book can't be more than 150 pages. The time and the cost involved in printing this is just ridiculous. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know Pundit had said that he had a couple of ideas with maybe doing something sci-fi related. So we can let him talk about that if he wants.
By the way, South America, John, not Spain, South America. Go ahead, Pundit. What do you got in the hopper?
Well, right now, the idea, first of all, after Baptism of Fire gets published, I will probably want to do, just like we did with Sword and Caravan, 1 or 2 smaller source books for it. I've got one in mind right away, which is to have a source book that's more about the Slacha, which is the nobility of the setting, right? The Polish noble clans that were divided into these different houses and stuff like that. And they're an interesting bunch because the Slacha are they have their own kind of mythology where they believe that they were a slightly different group than the commoners, that they had been originally warriors that had arrived into the Polish lands from a land called Sarmatia, and they have their own kind of specific cultural details and things like that. And so I'm thinking that I might do a source book where I expand a bit more on these different clans that are mentioned in Baptism of Fire in brief sections in the character creation part, in case you end up playing a noble. And I'm thinking of calling the book 101 Sarmatians. I think that would be a good title.
You have to.
Besides that, I've been approached by a publisher who wants to do a project where he's going to do an omnibus version combining Lion and Dragon and Dark Albion in a single volume. And this is at first I thought this was kind of crazy, right? Because first of all, both of those are still essentially in print. Dom Publishing, who published Lion and Dragon and Dark Albion, they don't publish anymore, but the stuff, their library is still for sale, right? And I told them, well, I can't tell them to stop publishing, right? And they said, no, we understand that, right? But we want to do it different. And I said, well, but you can't use any of the art, you can't use any of the layout. It would have to be a totally different presentation. You can use the words, because I still own I own the text like I do with all of my games, but I don't own any of the layouts. So they said, no, we would completely redo the thing. And we might, change a few things, add a few things, but for the most part, you won't have to do any work, right? It's the stuff you already wrote, and we want to do a new presentation of it. And I was like, I'm not sure that'll sell, right? But I went on, I think it was in one of my live streams, I told people about this, and I said, well, what would you think? Well, a ton of people said, oh yeah, I would totally do that. I'd buy it for sure. So, okay, and the guy is still quite gung-ho. So there's a very good chance that that'll be something coming out sometime. I don't know if this year, probably still this year, but maybe next year. I don't know.
James wants to know if in Baptism of Fire his warrior can wear Lamalar armor. Might be a deal breaker, so be careful here.
You know what? Lamalar armor, it's that wasn't something that was commonly used in literally speaking in the in the Polish area, right? And like they had padded armor, and then they had like this kind of padded splint armor that was, armor with some metal parts attached to it. And then they had the chain shirt, right? And there was no plate mail at this time. It hadn't been invented yet.
Right.
However, you could certainly have lamellar armor, and if I'm remembering correctly,
James was working on a real lamellar armor last time I checked in one of his live streams. He was actually putting together.
Yeah, well, I know for a fact there's a couple of images that show some lamellar armor.
So in certain caravan, I have the stat for lamellar armor. So you could certainly just use that because it's completely compatible, right? The same system, right? It would be trained armor class 17, other non-trained 15. -2 to initiative, -2 to dex skills, right? So that's lamellar armor in Lion and Dragon.
There you go.
Fire.
Got the stats right there, James. Snake Oil Sean, our good friend, $10. Thank you. Hail Double D. Pundit, do you think a campaign based on Heinlein's Orphans of the Sky would work better as sci-fi or fantasy?
Jesus, that's quite the question. I haven't actually read Orphans of the Sky, so I don't think I'm really qualified to give you a good answer there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, me neither.
I've read quite a few books of Heinlein's, but not that one.
Yeah, it's been a coon's age since I've read my Heinlein. I think the last one was the Starship Troopers. Yeah, hopefully maybe somebody in the chat can help you out there, Sean. Maybe someone in our chat has an opinion. All right. Well, listen, guys, we've been going at it over an hour here, and I think we've wetted everybody's whistle. Now it's just a matter of kind of waiting for Drive-thru to follow through and make it available. So I'm sure
keep you guys up to date on next week's show or any developments.
Right.
For sure.
And currently, if you're interested in any of Pundit's other products related to Sword and Caravan, I had a guy just this morning beg me to create a bundle on Drive-thru where you could get all the premium versions of the book all in one set. And so I created that. For $88, you get all the hard copies and all the PDFs, and the hard copies are in premium version. So not a bad deal. So you can just get them all at the same time, and that will kind of wet your palate until Baptism of Fire comes out. So
complete collection.
There you go. Last question, Pundit. How's Meatball doing?
Oh, Meatball's doing good. Yeah, I mean she's old, but she's still very active. And I don't know if you saw I talked about this on my YouTube. She turned 14 last month, and right around that time, we've got a neighbor, my next door neighbor. She's moved back she had been renting the house. She was living in Spain. She comes back. She's living there with her family, and she has a cat, a younger cat. It's not really a young cat. It's got to be now about 6-7 years old or something like that, but about half Meatball's age, right? And they have this like kitchen window that has this kind of flap that opens up to let air in, and it's too small for any person to get through. So it's that's probably intentional, but it's definitely big enough for Meatball to get through. So it turned out my neighbor had to tell me that Meatball has been sneaking into her house and eating her food, and then when the other cat was eating the cat's food, right? And then when the other cat got angry about this, they had a fight, and Meatball won apparently. So and Meatball had a nasty scratch on the back of her head, but I'd hate to see what the other cat was like if Meatball won that one.
Jeez.
My neighbor had to like shoo her, Tom and Jerry style out of the house. Yeah. So she's still very, very, very active, I say, for her age, and still picking fights apparently.
Well, very good. All right, guys.
Or, look at it from another point of view. Start serving better food.
There you go.
That's the thing. She gets deluxe food from me, right? Like I consider nowadays, especially, a very expensive food specifically for senior cats. It's this French brand. It's not something local. But I'm guessing it's like everything else, right? Like if the neighbor I don't want to say anything bad about my neighbor, but probably she's not she doesn't have that type of cat food. She probably has like one of the cheaper brands, which probably tastes like greasy fast food.
Nine
to
lives.
Meatball, right?
That's what Meatball
It's
wants.
it's not specifically crafted to her diet, so that's why she likes it.
All right. Well, thank you very much, guys. It was a great conversation. We'll let everybody know. You guys,
James Gang lied.
Oh, one last one. Bang. Okay, I lied. Next
You're
question.
getting a lot of money from these questions here.
James is James, like you, supported my channel from a very early time. That's why I'm always very thankful to both of you guys. So he asks, any plans for a Rus supplement for it?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, that would certainly be something that I could go into, because it is, this is, if I don't know if you watched the Tucker Carlson interview, but this is right around the time when Yaroslav the Wise founded the nation of the Kiev Rus, and so it's the same thing for them. It's the early period, right? They adopt Christianity only a little bit after the Poles, and it's and then they end up fighting each other for quite a while. But that is a possibility. I'm not sure about that, because there is another option too, which is, at this time in northern Poland, in Pomerania, which was, like I said, they were the diehard pagan resistance to the Christianization. You also had their large interactions in Pomerania with the last remaining pagan Vikings. So, in fact, the last major pagan Viking settlement was in Pomerania. It was a place called Jomsburg, which is on an island just off the side of Pomerania. So
the Valetti, isn't that right?
The Valetti were to the north of Germany, right? The whole Baltic coastline was
right. They're on the other side of the river.
Then there was the Pomeranians, and then there was the Lithuanians, and all three of them resisted being Christianized for a very long time. The last ones to drop were the Lithuanians, and that wasn't for like another 200 years, right? But anyways, all along that coastline, you had the Vikings that were forced to flee from, Norway and Sweden, or whatever the equivalent in Denmark, because those had all become Christianized. And I think that the appeal of Vikings is kind of evident. And so I think if I was going to do one source book that was for, a non-Polish adjacent group, it might be that, right? Like a source book where you're playing the last of the heathen Vikings that are destined to go down fighting, that sort of thing. I think that might have a lot of appeal. But a supplement for the Kievan, the Kievan Novgorod, the formation of the Russian concept is not a bad idea. Though I don't know how popular it would be with the Poles.
Well, it's pretty clear. If you guys want kind of a historic nugget to your game, obviously Pundit stuff is the way to go, because it's very well researched.
You got some magazines right there, Double D. Put those on front and center.
What's that?
Mad
Oh
Scribes.
yeah. Let me give Chris.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a great magazine. It's always got, every issue's got really interesting stuff in it.
For sure. Yeah,
and they're also available in a bundle, only $10 a piece.
There you go, guys. I just contributed to the last or the upcoming Mad Scribe.
Definitely the best article in the magazine.
There you go.
You got to pull out.
I have an article in that magazine.
That'd be good.
I might even tease it a little bit later on. So yeah, we'll make sure people also take a look at that, because I'm not the only one in there. I know Venger's in there. A lot of good stuff, and of course Pundit's. I don't know if he's in this one, but he's certainly been in one.
Am I in this one, or am I in the next one? I don't remember.
I think you're in the next one, and I think you were in the one before that.
Yeah.
So,
then it's okay. Double D can say he's got the best article. That's fine.
Come on, you got to allow me that.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Great talking to you. We'll catch up soon. Maybe after it's out for a little bit, we can have you back on for a little segment, and we'll see how it's going and check in with you guys. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Take care. Have a great night. And there we go. Baptism of Fire. Tell you what, I'll run that little commercial again for these guys. Wet your whistle. Then you kind of got to wait until Drive-thru gets their rear ended. Your boy's not half
It's a shame
bad.
they're backed up, you know?
Yeah. It's like they had a bunch of crackers and cheese. They're bound up, as Mama D would say. They're bound up.
Bound up.
We need to get some X-Lax in there. Get them going. See Panthers in the chat. You doing, Panther? Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that segment. As I said, definitely consider it. It looks. I have the full PDF. It is really good. If kind of these historical games are in your wheelhouse, or maybe you're just looking to steal some stuff, some pretty good things in there. That artwork is really good. It is really good, and the writing, of course, is Pundit. It's top notch.
There you go.
Oh wow,
James,
man.
Did he hit the Florida lottery or something? What's going on?
He did. It's called getting married to his wife. He will freely admit that his wife indulges him.
Nice.
He has a very supportive wife.
Where can I order one of those?
Well, yeah. I'll tell you what. Maybe let's give these guys a little bit of a treat. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
Little treat. All right. So last week we watched Critical Role. Remember?
Yeah.
Death in the Family.
It was painful.
it was definitely painful. And even though she wasn't part of it, we kept pointing out like, oh, Marisha Ray, Matt Mercer's wife. So she was the one with the rainbow shirt on, getting a little thick, I think, just a little bit. Nothing outrageous yet. So I did a little researching. It's Marisha Ray's not too bad. She's a little dirty, bunch of white dudes claiming their right to land, which doesn't belong to them. Where have I heard that before? So obviously she's kind of like one of these people who's bought in, just like her husband, who was in tears about the Palestinians and all that stuff. She's kind of bought into the whole, kind of left of center view. What if I told you guys that wasn't always the case?
Oh, bring it on.
I mean, we've seen what leftism does to women. All right. And you saw her last week, and she's just kind of turned into a basic bitch, kind of liberal. But here's Marisha Ray 8 years ago. Yeah.
That looked like a Hardee's cheeseburger commercial.
It did, yeah, from back in the
day. Was that
day.
Paris Hilton or something like that? Who was that? My concern with that whole video, to be honest, was is she getting the seats all
Yeah,
wet?
I knew you were gonna say that. Yeah, it's an open car.
Yeah,
She's spraying the inside of the sacred Batmobile.
Yeah. It ain't the Tumblr one, but I mean, it's still one of the best ones.
Oh God, yeah, iconic. Snake Oil Sean, $5. The image of King Trump makes me want to see a rogues gallery of AI generated images based off the members of Congress. Yeah, there you go. Get to work, chat. Feed that beast. Yeah. So as you can tell, she wasn't always like that. Like a lot of women, before 2016 rolled along, everybody was just normal. Like, oh, I'm not half bad looking. I'm gonna cash in a little bit. Everybody understood the bargain, right? But
I wonder if she's ever done a spread in Easy Rider magazine.
Easy
she looks like she sat on the bike on the back of some dude's bike back in the day.
Back of a hog.
She was an old lady.
Yeah.
My sister-in-law was an old lady for a little while.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which
Amy.
Becky?
Amy.
Oh, Amy. Oh, yeah, that's right. Amy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, that's right. She was an old lady.
There's 3 motorcycle gangs in our town. There's Leaders of Men, Iron Wings, and then there's a third one, which would be like the RC Cola of the group. And that's the one Lonnie was in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right.
And my sister-in-law was married to Lonnie, and she was an old lady for a little while. She told me the other day at the eclipse that she does not miss that lifestyle at all. And I said, well, I think you're better. I think you're better off without it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like RC Cola.
I mean, people do, but it's still the third one. You can like it all you want. It ain't Coke or Pepsi.
That is true.
I gotta say, not half bad there.
No. Very, hot, attractive, sexy, young.
Yep.
Nubile.
Looked like she was having fun.
I'd buy that for $1.
Missed a spot.
Yep. I was gonna say, you get your car washed all the time, Mouse.
I go up there. I probably get my car washed 3 to 4 times a week.
Man.
That's pretty accurate.
We're at
Delta Sonic. If you guys want to sponsor the show, go right ahead.
Patrick Demo, $5. This is your body on leftism. I swear to God, that's a better deterrent for weight gain than Ozempic. Yeah. Yeah, she wasn't. I'm not about to say like, oh, Marisha Ray's fat. I'm just saying she get a little comfortable. That's all.
That's what it is. Is they find, you always hear about it too. Then after someone gets broke up with, I'm going to get my revenge body back. So you've been kind of holding out on me.
Yeah. So you could have done this. Could have done this all along.
Just checking.
You
weren't giving it your all in this relationship.
You could have,
but you're upset that I wasn't either. Okay.
Exactly.
Fair enough.
It's not fair. Yeah. But I guess it's just what motivates like a lot of people, I guess. All right. I'm going to show you guys what we mentioned too. So this is I'm only going to show the first page because I don't want to give away the whole farm here. But yeah, this is my entry into the next issue of Mad Scribe. It's called Tankards and Tussles. House rule for barroom brawls. Now, we were actually able to incorporate most of this just a couple weeks ago in our game.
I liked it. I did.
Yeah.
It's simple. I liked it a lot.
Thank you. It kind of worked out the way I wanted. I'm like, boy, that was actually kind of smooth. Basically, this system is kind of a piggyback on top of any of the standard, like any OSR game, even like regular D&D. Because it only really uses your main stats, the 6 stats. Well, really just 3 of them. It's kind of a piggyback system onto that. Just a real basic framework set of rules for when your players want to get into a non-lethal like barroom brawl. It's not because I think the rules are kind of for most games don't cover this sort of well. And honestly, it does happen. Like our friend Zolt, he plays this monk, the Shaolin kind, and every time he goes to a new city, it's like he wants to like, all right,
every which way but loose.
It is, yeah. He's like, Fido Beto. He's like looking for like, all right, motherfuckers, I'm here. Let's fight. But he doesn't want to kill anybody. He's not using like, his lethal, fists for it. He just wants, like a system. Well, if you do the rules as written, he's always going to win. because I got to come up with some commoner, or even worse, I overdo it, and all of a sudden, now he's getting choked out, and is getting his head ripped off, and it's like, oh boy, over what, some stupid barroom brawl. This is a system where you can just throw this in, couple basic rules. Everybody knows you're just here to see, who's going to win. It's like a Hal Needham movie, like Cannonball Run or something like that. Just have a nice, friendly barroom brawl, easy to use. I like it. So yeah, and Chris, of course, did a great job. I love that picture there too. He
awesome.
used, it's a good one. So check it out if you would.
How many pages is your article?
It's just two. So that's when I said it's simple. I mean it. It's real simple, but I think you guys find it kind of intuitive, and you're like, oh yeah, I could work that in. It doesn't work if somebody's gonna pull a knife like Rogan does over here. in every barroom brawl he's in, he's looking to shiv somebody and send him to the hospital or the morgue. But if you guys are just like, hey, you're unwinding, your characters are unwinding after an adventure, hey, you could do worse. So think it over. And honestly, if you don't like that, well, there's other good stuff in there too.
It was really cool, really smooth, simple, like you said.
Yep.
And it during that brawl or two, there was some excitement in there. There was.
Yep.
It wasn't lopsided.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that because you're not using your regular hit points. So it's not like some 50 hit point PC versus some scrub.
Right.
So one of the guys said, everyone attack, and it turned into a barroom blitz. Yep. You know it, buddy. You know it. Let's see. A couple things. I just wanted to watch the intro to this. I gotta say he's amusing me. He's amusing me lately, and that's our old friend Bob. Bob the World Bit. I don't know.
Totally not. Breaking news. In case you missed it, a whole month ago, one of the Dungeons and Dragons.
Boy, he is committing to the handheld mic, isn't he?
I like it. He got it for Christmas.
Yeah. Grace gave it to him.
Yep.
One of these times, I'm just picturing like a Tonight Show set. Like he's gonna come out behind a curtain
with a guest.
Yeah, with da 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 da.
Does he have a sports jacket on?
He does.
He and a tie.
Corduroy.
He
does.
I like it.
Nice.
Dragons lead game architect Chris Perkins had this to say in an interview. Speaking frankly, and this is my own personal opinion, 12 classes is actually a lot. If I were redesigning, I would probably put a strong case forward that we could actually do with less classes in the core game. Whoa, he is one of the main people redesigning this new version of D&D 5e. But don't worry, they're not.
He's really hamming it up, man.
Is his tie underneath his collar?
Yeah.
Looks like it.
Hold on. Let me
move the mic.
Yeah, let me turn off the
getting rid of any classes.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's like 80s style, isn't it?
He rebelled on us.
Yeah.
He's been all suave, but no, he's not completely suave. He brought his edge. Rebel, absolutely.
There's more to this quote, and we'll cover it all in a second. But before we do,
that's like something Zac Efron would do. Like this guy's
he's up in his game, is what he's doing.
Becoming actually a role-playing game sex symbol, if you will.
What does the chat have to say about that? Sex symbol, guys?
Oh, yes.
I like how
Mouse says yes. I need more convincing. I need a little bit more convincing. I like the direction he's going though.
Ever since he trimmed them locks, man.
His hair's starting to grow out. He's got a little swish going on there.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's got a Bieber flip working.
the Bieber flip. Yeah, it's like a reverse Samson. Samson famously cut his locks and lost his power.
He cut his and he freaking stepped up his game.
Yeah. Yeah, that was holding you back all along, Bob.
I'd really like you to come.
You got the big invite. And that
He got-
changed his life.
That's right. Yeah.
He got rid of Duck Hunt
It's a
on
year
his
ago.
TV screen. He's got someone holding a broom, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the TV screen.
Yeah. Choose your
frying
class.
pan, a broom.
It's got to be a meme of some kind, I'm sure. I don't know if I'm familiar
got,
with that one.
You know, probably some poster of album cover from Asia on the wall there or something. I don't know what that is. Asia, the band, remember their dragon?
Yes.
with
Oh,
the
yeah.
ball?
Yeah. I just noticed over here, Gamza is still streaming. Good Lord, how long has he been going?
He's got his closet door open. It's usually closed. Like he's all over.
he's into his experimental phase here.
Yeah.
Comment with your first impressions on this statement, and feel free to change your mind over the course of the video. But I ask you, does D&D 5e, with 12 different character class options, have too many? I know lots of folks wish there were 13 with the Artificer, or more, in the new core rulebook. But there are many other folks who think the Fighter, Cleric, Wizard, and Rogue, the 4 classes provided in the starters.
That's what it is in DCC, I think. I think they only have 4 classes. Keep it simple. I like it. I think they could have done with maybe like 2 more in DCC. I always think a Ranger is an okay option. And I guess what would be the last one? What do you think, guys?
Oh, Barbarian is pretty
Barbarian.
traditional.
Yeah.
But you could have those as subclasses underneath those.
You are very perceptive, Mouse, as always, because I think we won't watch this whole thing, but he goes into that, and he's saying, like, I think he even mentions, yeah, the Barbarian is essentially just a subclass of the Fighter. And Chris Perkins, that was his whole thing. If he had it to do all over again, he'd shorten the class list. You can make a case for that, but that's not going to keep the peanut gallery happy these days. Hey. Let's zoom ahead a little bit here. See. What if he has an orchestra next time?
A band.
Let's go to the Bob the World Builder Orchestra.
Definitions as evidence, because definitions change over time. But come on, sorcerer, a person who claims or is believed to
I was
have.
talking about the difference between sorcerer and wizard, which really to the layman, not much. Not much. All right. Oh, he's shilling something too. So let's give Bob his due, I guess.
As part of my first book, Delve: How to Build and Survive Deadly Dungeons, coming to Kickstarter soon.
Oh, he wrote a book.
I guess he's going to. It's coming to. Boy, that flip is.
Isn't it? It's something else.
That flip is majestic.
He's got those crazy eyes right there.
Coming to Kickstarter soon.
Beaver flip.
Now, I'm not going to go into a whole thing about these subclasses. That's probably a future video because I am excited about them. Rather, I want to keep this connected to Chris Perkins' statement about the core of the game. What belongs in it?
Stay focused. Absolutely.
Stay focused, Bob.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, what's the chat saying
How can
here?
you not like that dude?
Look, he's not on our side, quote unquote.
Absolutely.
But
He's
just
coming.
See, well,
He's on his way. He packed his bags.
Yeah.
He's dressed for the occasion.
Yeah, he's dressing for success. It's hard not to have let's just say this: he provides entertainment.
Yes, he does.
And I don't think we take many mean spirit. We used to take a little bit more of a mean spirited approach with Bob. I don't think we do that too much anymore.
I would say that we do not do
he's-
that too much.
Yeah,
We might not agree, but he certainly earned some respect.
he gets a little dispensation, a double D dispensation.
Meat says that he thought that when his hair's that way, that he slept on it, needed to rewash it. Well, actually, you're paying like $100 for that haircut.
Yeah, it could be.
Can you make it look like I just woke up?
Let's see. Nixit. Mr. Perkins, you're the developer. Change it and quit whining. Yeah. They're afraid. And if you do watch that video, I mean, it is pretty clear, when he shows more of that interview, that they just don't view 5e as being at the end of its life cycle. And there's good reasons to think so, because he was comparing it to like 3rd edition. Okay, what was happening by the time they thought they needed a new edition after 3e? Well, they were hearing it from fans like, hey, this is getting stale. Of course, after 4e, they heard that probably the day after release. Riz. You failed your save versus I did, Jack. Yeah.
The kids do call it
The
Riz.
bastard is I'm under his sway now.
Did you see that? Speaking of Riz, there's like a new trend now that track season has started. They'll have some like attractive girl be down at the end of like the finish line, and she'll be like, "Hey boys," and she'll do the come hither with her hand, and then all of a sudden the whole track team running the 100-yard dash comes running right at her. It's actually not
that's funny,
distasteful. It's actually, I don't know, when you see it the first 2 times it's kind of comical.
Yeah, it's, you know, some years back that would have been like in a movie, you know. That would have been like the comic part of like a movie. I could get down with that. Yeah, Riz. Yeah, Cal. Ginny's married. Thank you again, Cal. Always being there, Doc.
Nowadays, being married don't mean crap.
Do you think I could get on Bob's show someday?
I think if you ask.
Yeah, I think so.
Fly down. Isn't he like in Florida or something?
Wait, isn't he in Seattle? No.
No, he was going to Seattle.
He was going to Seattle.
Right, he flew,
He's from the East Coast, but I don't know if Florida is correct.
Yeah, Georgia, maybe?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe he was Georgia. Yeah, he had to fly cross country.
Yes, he did. Absolutely correct.
He flew all the way over there and then just realized like 5e is turning into kind of dog shit. And he actually does like DCC better. But
didn't he give a pizza review?
one bite, everybody knows the rules.
Do a pizza review from his hotel. I ordered pizza, blah 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 blah.
Oh, we'll have to look into that. I'll see if I can pull that up next week. That'd be funny. Bob's 5-minute like RPG reviews. Bobby Page views. Oh boy. Shark, Ginny D would have Bob bowing down and worshiping her like a total simp.
Brother wants you to get Ginny on your show.
Oh no. Ginny has blocked me on Twitter. I am not in Ginny's good graces. I got a feeling, I don't think Bob's blocked me yet. I don't know why he would. Like I said, I don't really interact with him, and when we do, it's sort of respectful these days.
I'm going to agree with that statement.
So,
hey.
But yeah, it'd be fun. Someday you'll see me coming out from behind that curtain. Go give Bob a hearty handshake.
You know, wear your tie
so good to see
your
you.
shirt.
Yeah.
You are looking live at Coastal Carolina.
Brother Grognard, Double D, you should get Ginny on your show. I would love to. I'd bring in the thirsty simps. That's for sure. But no, she is, as the mermaid community called her, she is a toxic fish. She do not like people who are right of center, and white men too, except her husband, who's white. I'm pretty sure.
But he probably hates himself for
it. What do you do if you're these guys that are kind of, you got your look? He probably has a pretty comfortable living. I mean, I'm going to guess he might have a job, but she probably makes enough where he doesn't have to work. It's like when you see AOC's husband. I mean, he's pretty much along for the ride. I don't know. You need a disarming producer, says Meat. Yeah, we haven't really checked in with Ginny D. I've like watched some of her videos recently, and I'm telling you guys, if you haven't watched, like I almost want to say almost every video now instead of every other is like sponsored by somebody. So she is raking in some serious cash.
It depends on who the sponsor is.
If she's doing it, if it's worth her while. I don't think she's at kind of like the gutter whore level yet. So she's doing like for the amount of effort she's putting in, she's making some decent bank.
Well, tonight's show for us was sponsored by Delta Sonic.
Yes.
And DM James.
And
all you others who super chatted and we
yeah.
love you all. Thank you so much.
Could use some Reese cups or something like that if you're listening. RC Cola.
Yeah, when are we gonna get these sweet sponsorship deals? I shouldn't say that. I've had a couple of people. Guys, I mean, here's the thing. I'll have like affiliate links. But if you've noticed, it's people I like. Like you can call it shilling. Like I shill for like Mad Scribe, like Chris, and by extension Pundit. I don't get a dime like from that. I like Chris. Chris, he's always in the chat. He likes super chats. So I'm like, you know what? I like these guys. On Twitter, I'll always shout out Miguel and Sylvia, Red Room Games, because I like them. They're kind of fighting against the tide. Like a Crud Forge too, somebody like that. I don't know. I kind of pick who I want, and I have had people say like, "Hey, would you be willing, to do this sponsored thing?" And it's just not in me. It would be half-hearted. So when you see me like talking about these games, at least like I'm not getting like paid up front. Now, like occasionally, like I said, if there's an affiliate link, I may get a small kickback. I'm telling you guys, it ain't much, and I don't really care. Yeah,
Mr. Pibbs is no Dr. Pepper. Are you ready for this?
Absolutely.
Dr. Pepper, I think, was invented in Texas, and drinking Mr. Pibb in Texas is like an insult. Like even being offered a Mr. Pibb, it's like insulting. It's like you're insulting your guests by offering them a Mr. Pibb.
Like slap them with like your gloves and like pistols.
So like, let's say the northerner, East Coast person went to Texas, West Texas, and was like, would you like a Mr. Pibb? They're making fun of you right there. Oh, there you go.
Let's see what Bill M has to say. He threw in his $5. Gotta have my name in the credits too. That's executive producer, boys. There you go. Mouse C to that. Bill M, executive producer.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
One of many tonight. Thank you so much, Bill. No, I do appreciate it. Like I said, all you guys kicking in, doing the Lord's work. Keeping your boy afloat. What is this? I didn't even get this one. I meant to give this to you,
Get that
Rogan.
commie crap out of here.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Get that double D back
I don't
on.
think I've ever had a Mr. Pibb.
Mr. Pibb is actually the whole reason I don't drink from a can.
Uh-oh.
Really? Tell us.
Well, you guys know I never drink from a can. I always drink from a cup. It was because when I was younger, I went to the is an AM/PM market, and it's on the corner of like Liberty and Brown Avenue, and now it's a country fair. I went there with a childhood friend named Craig, and I got a Mr. Pibb, and I was drinking from it. And when I opened up the can, I must not have opened it properly. And when I took a sip, I cut my top lip on it, and I was bleeding all over. So, and I was maybe like 8, 9. He was a friend of mine from Gym and Swim. And I just, from that point on, I've never drank pop I don't drink from a can, anything, pop or beer or whatever. So even if we're at a bar that, how when you're in an outdoor bar, like Coconut Joe's used to be, and they would always have cans for you or wherever, I'd always ask for a cup. And I don't care if it's plastic or glass, but
it's almost like you had like I guess they would call that like a taste aversion experience. Like I remember probably 20 years ago, I went to Taco Bell, ate my dinner, and then came home, and then I got the flu that night. It wasn't food poisoning. I know it wasn't, because I was laid up for a couple of days and I had like the runny nose and all that. But I associated in my mind Taco Bell with that flu. Mm-hmm. So I found myself kind of subconsciously always avoiding it. And then I realized, like, holy shit, I haven't had Taco Bell in 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I maybe went back, but it was still kind of like a thing. And only recently, and only because they're open late. And I got news for you guys. We're on the East Coast. So sometimes we get out of here and we're like I haven't had dinner. Mouse probably hasn't had dinner. I don't know if you have, Rogan.
I have not had dinner.
I usually have a bite.
Usually have some. Yeah. Cause you like to eat early, but Mouse and I, like Mouse wants to get going. He's like, I got to go. I got to eat. And I do too. So it's like, if I can catch McDonald's before it closes or Taco Bell, I started going through the drive-thru there just to pick up 3 tacos.
I cannot eat that late. I cannot.
We're a late
not
night
good for
eater
you.
anyway, but I prefer eating dinner at around 7:30. Game night or not game night. That's what time we eat. And it's all just because of I'm the cook of the house, and Mrs. Mouse, she comes home from work and she's not done till 6:30, so she doesn't come home till 7:00. So when we sit down to eat, it's as a family then. But it was also because we had swim practices and all these other things. But always been a late night eater. Now eating dinner sometimes at 11 o'clock at night is pushing it for me, but it doesn't bother me.
So
and it is I just pulled it up. Dr. Pepper was from a pharmacist, Charles Alderton in Waco, Texas. Boom. There you go.
There you go. Injun Joe in the 90s. They went nuts for Mellow Yellow. Yeah, I remember that. And I stopped eating at Taco Bell after I worked there for like 10 years. So is that just because you got sick of it? Which I understand, because I worked at Pizza Hut for 7 years. The only thing is I never got tired of Pizza Hut. I'll still occasionally go there to this day.
But Pizza Hut, I couldn't picture getting sick of pizza.
Oh, I could eat that for every meal.
I could eat pizza all the time. I'm on a big pizza kick right now, as Double D knows. We watch a lot of One Bite reviews, but like I'm not sick. I couldn't get sick of pizza. I could eat pizza all the time.
I tell you what, we went this past weekend to Connecticut, and I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie Mystic
Pizza, Mystic Pizza,
yeah.
yeah.
Highly popular, whatever.
It's kind of a chick flick, isn't it?
It is. Back in, I don't know, a bunch of years back. Yeah.
Julia Roberts, right?
Julia Roberts,
Yeah,
a handful of other people. But we were like just right across the street where we were staying from that pizza place, and it was quite tasty. It was still, pretty.
Well, you were in Connecticut. Dave Portnoy, Davey Page Views, One Bite Pizza Reviews. He thinks Connecticut is like ground zero for the best pizza in the world.
Really?
I think New Haven, right?
Yep.
Like New Haven is like
right there.
Yeah.
Like we're literally right there. So were you guys close to New Haven?
Oh, we drove through it a handful of times. We drove that whole area.
Man,
We're driving from.
If I'd have thought, I would have told you, because there was a couple of places
Fight
where
really.
Yeah, the fight.
No, that's in Jersey. That's in Jersey.
Oh, that's right.
That's
yeah.
in Jersey.
No, but there was like two that they were like 9s in his pizza reviews.
Yeah, I put that pizza was really good. Right? It's hard to compare to any place around.
It's kind of
here.
weird. We I never associated Connecticut with good pizza.
We have a pizza place in our city, and it hasn't been reviewed by Dave Portnoy, but it has been reviewed by the One Bite app, and they have a sticker in their window that they got an 8.6, which at the time I'm sure was accurate, but now that more reviews have come in, its overall is still an 8. It's in the 8s, but it's like an 8.2. 8.2 is a monster number. So the 8.6, it made me go inside and I went and asked Eric B. and I said, "Is this accurate?" And he's like, "Well, he didn't come, but it's the One Bite review." Anytime you say "but," it means ignore that part. Here comes the other part. He wasn't here, but
yeah. Pundit says in the Southern Cone, it's common to have dinner around 9. Yeah, my wife always says that, because we'll be eating late. She'll be like, "Well, over in Europe, they don't start like in Spain." Maybe it's more Spain, which would make sense because it's also in South America too. That they don't really start to have dinner until very late.
If
I could get used to it. I don't know if it's good for you, but I could get used to it.
It depends. I mean, you're eating it and your body's going to break it down while sleeping. You're not going to burn off those calories. You burn off some when you're sleeping, but obviously not as much as you're waking. But like, are you going to wake up in the morning and then eat another breakfast?
Yeah, that's true.
I cannot keep that fuel in me. I can't sleep.
That stuff doesn't bother me. I can fall asleep.
Well,
that doesn't bother me at all.
You have a gift.
The thing is, I end up having to take shits at like odd times when I eat real late. I mean, it's the cost of doing business sometimes. I mean, it's like it kind of does throw your motor off.
I can drink caffeine late at night and still go right to sleep.
Well, you're kind of a freak in that regard. Like the stuff that you can do, like, because you can like fall asleep pretty much on like a moment's notice.
You slept through Golden Girls, man.
Yeah,
you slept through girl.
We went to Gen Con, and me, Gavin, and Rogan had to share a room, and we were talking, and all of a sudden,
boom!
I'm out. Yeah, it drives Mrs. Mouse absolutely nutso too. That he's already asleep. And it ain't for Nookie, trust me. It's like right now I feel like busting his balls about something. But no, I fall asleep just like that. The other night I woke up in the middle of the night. I was just thirsty, and I have a refrigerator in our bedroom.
He puts a mini fridge in the bedroom.
And I just woke up and had some sweet tea, filled with caffeine. But
at what time?
2 a.m.
2 a.m. Sweet tea. Damn.
Yeah, just go right back to bed.
Didn't you say Mrs. Mouse woke up?
She woke up and she said, because I usually wake up at 4:15 in the morning
to start working.
To go to work. Yeah, you're ready for to go to work. And she said, "Is it 4 already?" And I said, "No, it's like 2." And she goes, "Oh, good. I still have 5 hours of sleep left."
Wow.
Like we talked about, that's like a bonus when you get woken up and you're like, oh, it's not nearly as late as I thought. I got like 5 more hours.
5 more hours.
I'm lucky if I get 4 hours a night.
I'd say at that point, 5 hours might as well be 50 because you are so happy. You're thinking it's like, oh man, I got to get up in 5 minutes. And you're like, wait a minute, hold it. You get the governor's reprieve.
Injun Joe, it says that you used to have a mini fridge in your room. Why'd you get rid of it? It's like one of the best things I've ever done.
Yeah.
I have a snack drawer too. It's filled with cupcakes, candy bars, Skittles. I got sourdough pretzels off on the side.
Right. So you're as Mama D would say, you're a sack rattler in the middle of the night. You open up a bag of Skittles at
I don't
2 a.m.
I don't open these things. The only thing I'll eat in the middle of the night that won't make a lot of noise is they're hard to find now, and you can't find them. Ritz Bits with peanut butter. I'll have in the middle of the night, but salt and vinegar Lay's stacks.
Well, at least they're stacks and not like you're not rooting through a bag.
I'm not ripping out a bag.
Right.
I'll get on. That's the one thing I'll get on Mrs. D. Like Mrs. D is in great shape. She exercises like over an hour a day every single day. So she'll treat herself because she can. So, just like some chips every once in a while. It's actually usually is at night, but good Lord, does she make a lot of noise sometimes? Like go digging into that bag.
Yep.
Just like I'll be like yelling, "Did you kill the damn thing yet? Holy shit!"
Yeah,
Mrs.
you're
D.
making it worse.
One of my biggest pet peeves is this. Mrs. D and I, we're cultured people, right?
Oh yeah,
I think so.
We have tickets to our Philharmonic, our local Philharmonic. So they do about about 10, 15. I don't know how many concerts throughout the year. But it's like we are in Morlock Central as far as like the people around us. It is so amazing the people that don't understand just common decency. And I tell you what, and I know some of you might be rolling your eyes, but it's just proven. 9 times out of 10, it's old ladies who do this. It's like they will start talking. And keep in mind, this isn't like a concert, like a band concert. It's a fucking Philharmonic. It's not even my deal. I go basically for Mrs. D because it's a night out, and then afterward we go to our favorite bar. I can watch the games, get a drink. It's all good. But like, oh my God, you can't. Here's what you do when you're at one of these. Fold your hands and nod off, or just listen. Close your eyes and tilt your head back and listen. That's all you have to do. But no, they have to cater to the average American now, which means in the last 4 or 5 years, they've started selling food and drink to go into a fucking Philharmonic concert. So these people they fuck around with their cups, or worse, and this is what set me off when Mouse mentioned it. They'll have like a little mint, and they'll make this odd assumption that if they just go slow and do it like on the down low, then everything's going to be fine. So they'll open it. And it's like, if they just realize if you tear the Band-Aid off and just go, whole hog for 3 seconds and get that fucking mint out of there and pop it in, you're good.
Open up those Smarties right away. Do it right
Yes.
now.
Yeah. It's like, instead they sometimes will drag it out for like 10, 15 seconds. I'm just like, what the hell? Perfect example. Last concert a couple weeks ago. Who would even consider doing this? All right. So an old lady brings in a water bottle, like, Evian or whatever, just your standard water bottle, finishes it. Players are going on stage. Philharmonic's going, they have some singer, everybody's just listening. She starts crinkling up the water bottle in the middle of it.
It's the people, you know what, who used to do that? Princess Pinky. She would squeeze her water bottle to get the water out, but it's a plastic fucking bottle. I don't understand your point. And I would say to Pinky, what are you doing? And she'd be like, oh, it's just a habit I have. Well, it's a horrible habit. Fucking knock it off.
It's rude. This lady was literally putting it in her purse. Like she was like, oh, I'll get rid of it. And I turned right around and I just stared at her. Mrs. D is just shaking her head. And I wanted to ask her, I don't want to ever start anything here, but I wanted to say, like, why couldn't you just wait until the end of the piece? I mean, even if it wasn't one where you're supposed to clap, because sometimes you don't clap at the end of everyone. Although at this concert, I think we did, because it was like a Pops concert where you can clap. You're not supposed to clap in between the movements of a classic piece. You're supposed to wait till the end. But even if it was classic, couldn't you have waited until a pause? Why did you do it in the middle? It just, that sort of thinking, it's to me like indicative of the end of civilization.
Well, I tell you what, I remember a handful of years back, and I don't know how long, and I don't know what movie it was, but I think we all went to a movie together. We're sitting there, and just kind of right in front of us, kitty corner, is it was an older woman, and I don't know if there's another person there, and a younger man. Mm-hmm. And this dude flips open his phone, as bright as fucking day.
Oh, yes.
There. I got to say this. It'll piss us all off. And I think
I said something.
I'm a kind of person that will say something. I didn't get a chance to. Because Double D jumped on his shit and told him to put it the fuck away.
I did. I said, put that fucking phone away, dude.
And this dude thought he had balls for a second until the lights came on, and he fucking put his tail between his legs and jumped the fuck out of there.
Yeah, I forgot that, because he was with his girlfriend and his girlfriend's mom.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
And I'm just like and this is kind of back before. This is a while ago, so it's kind of like maybe smartphones were around, but there were also like flip phones, I think. And I gotta say, I think this might have been a flip phone.
It was a flip phone,
but it was like a flashlight. It was fucking
bright.
But
it was so bright. Like he's literally like holding it up, and it's like, just don't do that. It's like, why are you going to the movie? Why are you wasting money? Why are you pissing off people when you do stuff like that? It's like, just stay home. Otherwise, just put your fucking phone away. It can wait for 2 fucking hours.
I didn't get a chance to say a word. Boom, you're on him. Boom.
Yes.
Shut that.
Oh, I am.
He said, and he was grumbling. I remember the girlfriend trying to like calm him down and shit. He's like a little badass. Boom, the light comes up after the movie. Fucking look back and see all us goons behind him.
No, yeah. Plus, that was kind of back when I was still in pretty tip-top shape. As far as that, so I wasn't concerned about that at all.
Like watching the Batmobile.
Exactly. Absolutely. Hey, hold on. Now that you mentioned it, yeah, no tramp stamp yet.
I
wonder
like
if she ever got
fact
one.
that all her teeth were going in the same direction.
I was trying to
no snaggle teeth.
Yeah.
She had nice pearly whites. Yeah. She was a very attractive.
She was a looker.
Yeah. Crazy red hair though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She's fucking nuts. Yeah. I guarantee you she wears the pants in that family. And like, if something goes wrong on Critical Role, she's like, Matt, what the fuck were you thinking? Blah, blah, blah. She's got his balls in a jar. that bruise on her like side though. I was wondering, does that line up with how somebody might?
That's what I'm thinking.
This is before, no, I think she had met Matt Mercer. I don't know if she was together with him yet. That might have
probably doing all of his friends.
That'd have been 8 years ago. That
I think they started like 2014 maybe, but it wasn't anything like it is now. It was like, it was probably more. I don't want to say like our stuff, but it was much less. Huge than it is now. But I was look at that bruise. I'm like, oh. And you know what? She'd probably be like, ew, you guys are gross. And it's like, honey,
stop sexualizing.
You did the fucking video.
Yeah.
You're literally drying off the Batmobile with your ass.
Yes.
What do you want us to do?
Soap it up, baby. Oh, you're already doing it? Good.
Yeah. We're just supposed to sit there and pretend it doesn't exist.
Right.
Fuck you. I'll watch. I'll smile. I'll chuckle. I'll make fun of it. I'll enjoy it too. I mean,
it was nice.
Yeah, look, you can't deny the beauty of women.
No.
She's a little nutso, and there's probably many a guy who fell under that spell and regretted it.
We've all met a handful of
tip stealing, women.
I kind of dated this girl that. It was her thing, She was. It's really hard to explain that relationship.
So you guys would go out, have a good time
with a group of people twice. One was this nice Chinese place, another one was this little diner, and it just turned into the same thing. I'm usually like in those social environments. I'm kind of for some reason I'm one of the last people to leave the table. I like to have everyone's back. I'm just mentally that way, and we're leaving, we're talking, and she's like, oh yeah, I gotta get something. So she goes back to the table. I turn around, I'm like, she scooped a tip. Right.
Scooped up all the cash.
All the cash and put it right in her purse. She didn't think anyone was looking.
It's funny you say that. I have a feeling, it's never been proven. I'm not friends with any of these people anymore. That happened in our group. I was part of a group of 10, 5 guys, 5 girls. We used to all go out pretty religiously, and we would go. And I just remember one night at Red Lobster, which is, I've only eaten there 2 times in my life, and this would have been one of them. And I just remember someone went back inside because they had to go back and they forgot something. And then when they came out, the next place we were going, this person was flush with cash. It didn't dawn on me at that moment.
Yeah.
Like, I think this girl just went in and just grabbed all that money. But, I've always wondered. It's not one of the things that if I was meeting the Lord, it would be one of my 3 questions for him. It
might be in your top 100, though.
It would be in my top 100. Did Bridget go back in and steal that money? Bridget Bartkevich, I'm talking to you.
It's and the thing is, I can see it just being women who do that, because women hate other women, generally speaking.
Yeah, and it could have been some scenario where, like, out of these 5 guys and 5 girls, at some point, we might have hooked up with one of them, but none of these girls were like ever our girlfriend.
Right.
But was that waitress flirting with the, Crazy Mouse, and I just didn't like it anyway.
I'm gonna take it out.
One of those girls in that group, her name's Cindy. Her and I were the last people in our neighborhood to get cable. So while everyone was watching MTV all the time, her and I would practice making out.
That's my mouse.
And you know who her parents were, right? Double D?
What's that?
You know her parents.
Yeah. Well, I know her mom.
The mom.
Yeah, I know mom. Yeah. Going back to Rogan's story, he wasn't the only one of my friends victimized by this woman.
That's how you know. Yeah.
Unbeknownst to me, like I knew probably at the same time, like I knew this other friend like at the time. So we're talking like very early 90s. At the same time, Rogan was kind of fooling around with her too, and I had no idea about Rogan until way after the fact that they were kind of at it with this girl at the same time. And this other friend too was just always complaining about how crazy this girl was, how much she was like just play all these fucking mind games with them. And then like I remember Rogan one day, when we probably first started hanging out, you just mentioned the name Solitaire, and I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
It's a very unique name.
You're telling me about your friend. I'm like, holy shit, because I was at a bar with her and he showed up, and the next I'm thinking, all right, this is my time. I'm like, whoa, I got like I'm over here. Why are you talking with that dude? Like my old mindset kicked in. I can beat this fucking guy's ass.
Yeah. Oh, she had both of you guys like wrapped around her fingers.
Oh, absolutely.
She had you guys tipping, and then she went back and stole the tips.
Man. She was dating this guy who used my friend. Just a long story. It's all messed up. We went to this concert together. She fucking ditched her boyfriend, and it was all over me. It was embarrassing.
Oh, really?
Oh my God. Yeah. She was all drunk in the car. She had to sit in the backseat with me. And this girl I kind of went there with, we weren't dating or anything like that. She was forced to sit up front. Her boyfriend was driving. It was just messed up. She had fucking balls. That's all I could say. She there's a whole lot to say about her. There really is. It was crazy.
Yeah. She was just bad news. Like some of these women, they are, they're really just, they're like bad news.
They draw you in. They draw you. They do some things the right way, and then boom, you're like, you're thinking other thoughts and being stupid.
If I was single now, I'd be single.
So you mean you'd stay single?
Yeah, I would be. They drive me nuts. So,
yeah, I mean, they can really get into your.
I couldn't.
Mrs. Mouse drives me nuts. So, and KG is getting to that point. I don't know. My tolerance for like just the games that I see just from KG, like with her, 18 and 19-year-old friends that she's with. And I'm just like, I don't even know you were dating. This guy was your boyfriend. I never met him once. Oh, we dated for like a month and a half. How? Like you've never mentioned that you've even gone out with this guy. Like, did you date over the internet? Like, I'm just so confused at like
what's going on
these days. I don't know. I would just I'd rather be single unless Mary Boss is out there.
Well, it's tough sledding, I think, for single guys now, just because the way society sort of is, and plus, a lot of headwinds, in that scene. And I mean, I kind of look around and I'm like looking at Mrs. D, and she's probably looking at me like, oh, maybe we ain't perfect, but we probably ain't gonna find anything better. I mean, the grass ain't any greener, so we feel very fortunate to have met.
I'm thinking about it right now for some reason. If I was single, there is one girl that I would probably pursue, and that would be Mackenzie from Old Navy. And she's younger than I am.
She'd be a feather.
Her and we still talk every day. I still talk with Mackenzie every day. And we stopped working at Old Navy together. It's got to be right at the end of the pandemic. So 4 full years ago.
Could be like hauling Vincor and Shelley in Northern Exposure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, there was
December, May.
Jennifer that we both knew.
Yes. She was very attractive.
I can't believe the chat's still sticking around as we're talking about our old girlfriends.
That's another one that we, I dated for a while. Then,
you guys shared a woman unbeknownst to either of you till years later. Damn.
Well, I miss her.
She was her mom put the moves on me at a bar.
Oh yeah.
Karen was her name. Yeah. The good old days.
Snake has the right of it here. My girlfriend told me she would never let her girlfriend.
Shark.
Yeah, Snake Shark. I was thinking of Snake Oil Sean in my mind. So Sharky, how you doing, Rich? My girlfriend told me she would never let her girlfriends around me alone. I asked why. She said because women are evil bitches and snakes. They'll always try to get with your man.
That's a sensible woman right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they can talk about sisterhood all they want. Don't buy it.
Oh, they're vicious.
Perfect example. KG's prom is in 2 weeks. She went to prom last year and 2 homecomings with the same guy. She thought that he was going to ask her to this year's prom. Instead, he asked KG's best friend Ella, and they're going together. This is KG's best friend is now going with her. I want to say boyfriend because it's not, but like her date. And I just said, well, what's going on? Like, I just can't wrap my head around this shit. Dare I are you going with anybody? I don't know yet. It's in, 10 days.
Well, now she has learned a good lesson on sisterhood. So, all right. Well, we'll do about 15. We'll just do a quick little catch up with Otto and Roland, see where you guys want to go. So if you guys were just here for the regular show, now is the end of that.
Thanks for sticking around with us.
Thanks
a lot.
Thanks for hanging out. Great to have Pundit on. Great to have Chris on. Interesting guys. Guys who get it done, go after it. They're doing things. Speaking of doing things, I want to show you guys.
Oil's out. Good night.
See you, Snake Oil. I did want to show you guys something. All right, so you guys know I'm working on my adventure, and I found my artist, aka Rogan.
Little stick figures.
Yeah. So I'm asking Rogan. You know, I'm certainly not pressuring you. You know, you're a busy guy, so I'm like, and you know, look, I'm just fiddling away at the adventure itself. You know, so Rogan, I saw some of his progress and I liked what I saw. And then Rogan said, "Hey, I'm done with that first piece," and he sent it to me. So I'm going to show you guys. So I'm getting very excited now for the quality. Now I'm like, holy shit, my writing is not going to be up to this level. This is what your boy Rogan over here turned in. This is a guy who's a welder, and we would just see him kind of like, just doodling, and I'd be like, damn, Rogan, those are really good, you know, and like, you should draw more, and you were just always like, So I formally asked you.
Oh yeah.
I said, look, I'm going to pay you. It's going to be professional. So this is the first piece he turned in. That is fucking awesome.
I appreciate
that. Is really, really good.
Thank you.
I mean, holy shit. I said, hey, look, I kind of want something, you know, maybe it's in the jungle, you know, so I kind of want something akin to like one of those Moa heads. And he's like, yeah. Holy shit.
Better step up your game, Double D.
Yeah, so that's the kind of artist I'm getting. And it's like, I don't know, it's like, I know you have like Andy Warhol genes in you. You are a direct descendant of him.
Yes.
Dude, you could be an artist. You understand that, right?
I appreciate that.
Like you could be like you're a huge comic fan. Like you understand you could be a comic artist. You understand?
Meat says welder, actor, artist.
Yep.
The chat's blowing up.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
I did go to art school.
Yeah, you did go to art school. Yep. So yeah, you did this. You sent me your original sketch, which I can show you if you guys want proof. But then you worked digitally, right?
Yeah. I did. I sent you a bunch of stuff. I downloaded and did all this drawing and getting my inspirations. Just started putting pieces together, and you know, got to a certain point. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna scan this. I'm gonna go from there. You know.
Yeah, it is very Olmec, Cal. I agree, Mercurius. He's too good for me. Like, well, I'm going to take advantage of this. I got this guy for at least one before his page rate goes sky high. You'll be one of those artists that Chris had to deal with. Like,
John's got something.
Do $1,000 for a cover. Can you draw mechs? Asking for a free. No, sir, John. He's mine. At least right now. When it's all done, you can take your shot at him.
I'm really pleased that you're pleased with her. I'm really.
Everybody I show, like I showed Mrs. D. She's like, damn. She's like, she's just shaking her head. I showed Miranda.
Yeah.
You know, my daughter. She was just like, holy shit.
Your daughter is an artist.
Well, yeah, but she's a different kind of artist. You know, she you know, obviously different kind of sensibilities, different. I mean, as good as Miranda is and the things that she does, she couldn't produce probably something along these lines, because this is just, it has that kind of realistic, that tonal, atmospheric, moody. Just, I love the shadow coming in from the side. That really, really, you did a really good job on that.
Thank you. I look at it like we talked before. Like I look at that, I see all my mistakes. I could have done this better, you know.
Do you see any mistakes, Crazy Mouse?
Nope.
I don't see one mistake on here. I see something like, damn, now I gotta, like I said, now I gotta up my game. And yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. So, brother, keep on keeping on. You working on piece 2 at all?
Yes.
At all yet?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I'm really I'm grateful that you like it. I really am.
Yeah, and I need your like PayPal and all that, because I want to make the first installment of our payments. Like I said, I want to keep to a schedule.
Let's
I'll tell you what, turn in the second one and then I'll give you the first chunk or first third or first quarter. Yeah. I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm not going anywhere, obviously, but still, I like paying up. I like paying up. All right. Yeah, it looks like everybody everybody liked what they saw. I don't know how you couldn't. I mean, it was fucking awesome. So, all right. Like I said, let's do a quick little auto enrolling right now. The rest of you guys can, if you don't want to watch, that's fine. We'll see
Burn
you
in hell. Or I mean,
Yeah,
no.
we're not good
No,
enough for you.
We want you back. No.
So yeah. So we will do a quick little catch up with O&R, not too long. Like I said, Mouse and I still have to eat. So here we go. All right, we'll go to the 922. Yeah, we'll go to the 922. Whatever it takes. Look at that. Jeez, come on now. This thing ain't.
Andrew asks if you have any thoughts about doing a one shot for the new rule set you've been covering.
Like Dragon Slayer, like a one shot. I'll be doing a one shot Adventure Con. But yeah, there we go. Yeah, see, there we go. Stay in focus, you sack of shit, camera. Yeah, I don't really have a desire. I'm just so busy. I can't run like an outside game right now. I just can't. Between my regular 9 to 5 and all this, and I got so many things on the plate. I'm starting to now be careful about who I say. Like, oh yeah, I'll get to it, because right now I'm not sure I can get to it. Yeah. For right now, we'll just keep using the old Dragon Slayer. There. Look at that. Dun, dun, dun. All right. So real quick. You guys were in Port Prospera. I thought I had a picture of.
You did. It looked like
Yeah, but we're on. Remember, we're on StreamYards right now, so I think it might be a little. It's a little goofy. Oh, there it is. Oops. All right. So you made it down to Port Prospera last time. And hey, you found a city that was very, very active. A lot of hustle and bustle going on. You walk through, from the initial port into this cavernous building, which you weren't even sure of what use was going on there, and out into like a huge plaza. A lot of vendors, a lot of people just standing around talking, including a little boy, and I think that's who that's supposed to be.
I think you're right.
Yeah, Jeffroy, who offered to kind of take you around town. Now you'd kind of, disembarking from the ship, you'd kind of lost track of what's her name, Aurora, and her mother.
Not by design, but also not by accident.
Yeah, she just said, "Well, I'll be in town." She wasn't even, saying like, "Oh, we need to keep in touch." She almost was kind of like, "Well, we'll be seeing you," or something like that. So who knows? So you're looking around this city, and there's just a lot in the quarter you're in, kind of surrounding this plaza. It's vast, a lot of inns. You found yourself, I think at the Raven Inn, kind of, if I have my notes correct. And
I don't know if the word Raven Inn was given, but it was colorful bird or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Right.
Yeah, it was something along those lines. Yeah, there wasn't like a true a name per se.
It was in the Prince's Quarter.
Yes, yeah, Prince's Quarter. And as you looked around the city, when you looked up, there was a couple of different other major sections of the city. And just by happenstance, you overheard one of them is kind of like the Temple District, where you saw, some beautiful buildings, including a high tower above a wall. And then more of what would be like an administrative section, and you saw, all kinds of, like larger buildings there, including maybe something resembling a keep. But as you were kind of getting the dime tour, you saw some people in cloaks, white cloaks, hoods up,
walking in a line like stormtroopers.
Yeah, headed through. And then, somebody just casually mentioned like, oh, they're from the Temple of Set. So I think we might still be on that day. So I don't know if there was anything you guys wanted to do that day.
We almost bought a monkey.
Oh yeah, you almost bought a monkey. We weren't really close to buying a parrot.
Got some new duds.
Exactly. You got some clothes to kind of fit in, and now you guys are ready. But ready for what? What are we doing? I'll show you one thing. I'll whip this up. When you do look up, and maybe at some point you get a closer look, but I thought this was a fair representation.
Nice.
That's that ominous tower, the one in the foreground, not the background. They identify that there's kind of like snake motifs on that circular tower, which they said belong to the god Set, which you haven't even heard of. You're like, Set? Maybe you guys aren't the most religious anyway. I mean, coming from your backgrounds, neither of you told me you were particularly religious. You do know that the worship of Saint Yig is essentially like the god of good. That is even translated up to Fagland, your home. And you have seen people wearing the holy symbol, maybe just like around their neck, kind of like a St. Christopher medal or something like that, of Saint Yig. So, at least he may hold some sway here. But you've never heard of this Set. Good grief. What do we want to do, boys?
Well, you secured a place to stay.
Yeah, you're there for a little bit.
Did a little shopping.
Yep. Got some clothes to fit in. We could go down to the tavern and get a meal, and perhaps we could find out more about this Temple of Set, what those stormtroopers are doing. Try to find some adventure this way.
We might have to look for a job.
We're not hurting for cash.
No,
So I'm
we're
not
not.
sure if we need to start work right away.
All right.
The boy's coming back in the morning to take us somewhere.
No, he said he'd show you around the rest of the city if you wanted. So right now we'll say it's just getting later, right? We can say that.
Yeah.
So it's maybe night, getting towards dinner time and that.
Go get some eats.
Absolutely.
All right. When you guys go down to the common room of the inn, you hear a squawking, and it brings back memories from the other day. And there is somebody with a parrot on their shoulder. Just a townsperson. It does not look like a pirate. I swear. But has this fucking bird. And everybody will come over and pet it a little bit, but it's not quite the big thing that maybe it is to you guys, as you're looking at this kind of bird that you've never seen before. But other than that, it's pretty easy to source a meal. You maybe find an open spot, open table, and enjoy the crowd, which is a cosmopolitan mix. You do see there's definitely some people here from your land, because you can tell by the act, they're not talking with an accent, and they just kind of look northern, if you get my meaning.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a fair number of natives here. One thing you do see, you didn't notice before, is there's a faded mural on the wall.
Okay.
You want to see what you see when you go over to it?
Yep.
Double D's been busy. The free cities.
Wow.
So you are in Port Prospera, and you had heard, people rattling off the names of these free cities: Stormhold, Port Prospera, Astraeus, Embercrest, and Frostfall. That's what you see.
Maybe we should get a piece of parchment and well, hey, maybe someplace around might have a map. It'd be nice to have.
Yeah, it would be.
All right. Well, cool. There was a pretty sizable market in that, that plaza area.
We're eating our meal. We're talking about things. We're noticing this right here. And I'm like, is there... I know you acquired yourself a pretty remarkable weapon, and I'm pretty happy with securing a weapon for myself. But do we need anything else? Leathers. I wouldn't mind getting a shirt, a chain.
We could get one for sure. We have plenty of money.
But if there's anything like, anything else that we might need, I could think of.
I have leather armor now.
Oh, okay.
I really can't think of anything.
Yeah, other than it's still serviceable, pretty stinky. Truth be told, probably it's been sweated through many a time, but it's still very serviceable.
I can get a new one for sure.
Like I said, that would be your choice. Like I said, you're not under any penalty using it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, you've had it for a while now, right? You've
kind
of had it on for a while because you've been on the run from the law for a while. So just imagine how leather would smell after that time. Maybe you get a couple of wrinkled noses as they're walking by you.
Yeah, we could definitely, tomorrow morning in the city, we could talk to the young boy and he could take us to where we need to go.
Yep. And when we left the Smiths, when I left in a hurry, I left my chain there.
Okay.
What's that, Rowan?
When I got spotted at the bar, I was staying with the Smith.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, you were out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just the way that worked out.
All right,
but that was from the guard anyway, right?
What's that?
That was from the dead guard anyway, right?
Right.
That changed.
Yes.
Shirt.
Yeah.
Well, so maybe cursed anyway.
We can do all that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tonight we'll make a copy of this map, or we'll make a copy because we can't guarantee that there will be one for sale.
All right. So we'll just say you can jot down the high points of it.
Yeah.
Basically what you see here. And like I said, it's faded. It's just kind of like a mural on the wall. And of course there's stains and all kinds of other things, but you can still get the gist of it. Overkill Joe wants you to climb up that tower. Well, we'll have to see, Joe, if that's what they want to do. So as you're going through the night, if you're just content to stay here, the place does start to get a little busier after dinner and get a little bit more raucous, but in a good way. Only a couple of arguments, but they're settled, pretty quickly. You get a couple of looks from the Northerners there, and they'll raise their glass and give you a nod. Aside from that, you're pretty much unmolested here.
It'll be difficult not to stare is a pretty strong word for it, but there's obviously people of many different colors, and this is all so new. It'd be difficult not to watch some of these women with the golden skin or darker skin, and not that I'm trying to go after them, but
yeah,
we've been on the boat for a long time, and with a dude's a dude, man.
One of those Northerners does come over to you guys and just kind of says, "May I sit?"
Sure.
Yeah.
He's kind of hale and hearty, dark hair, kind of like flowing down, has a good mane. Probably about, you'd say maybe in his early 30s. He just says, "I think I sense a couple of countrymen from the north."
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He says, "Pleased to meet you. My name is Ragnar."
Ragnar, good to meet you. I'm Otto. This is Roland.
Well met.
Otto, Roland, well met. He raises his glass to toast you guys. How long you been in town?
A day.
A day.
Yourself?
Fresh off, huh? First time here? First time in the Free Cities?
Yes, it is.
It's fascinating.
He's like, yeah, it's a little bit more colorful than back home, I would say. There's things here that will amaze you. He's like, and and treasure too. It's like, let me ask you something. Just something purely speculative, of course. Do you work the trade? It's pretty clear he's referring to something under maybe illegal by that. You're not exactly sure. If actually, you know what? I'm gonna roll the Otto. You would know. You would know. He's referring to like the grift, the
Thieves Guild?
the thief. Yeah, well, or maybe not even a guild, but just do you ply your trade? Do you earn money from stealing things?
Only when I have to.
He kind of looks and says, he kind of like looks up at you, Otto, and says, I thought I sensed something around like that. He's like, are you planning on doing business here?
We're planning on staying for a while, and we might need some means.
It's like, well, he's like, the pickings are good. He's like, I tell you what, you stick to the market. I don't know how good you are. But if you stick to the market,
The best? No, I don't do not say that.
He's like, the market's good, especially when it's busy. He says, don't go late in the day. If you get caught, there's nowhere, it's too big and they'll be able to track you down. But midday at the market, if you don't get greedy, you can certainly earn a living doing that. He says, of course, if you want bigger treasures, well, you have to think bigger, right?
How big?
He turns to you slyly. Let me see if I can do a little acting, a little critical role acting here. He turns to you slyly and says, well, the bigger the treasure, the bigger the risk. Are you risk takers?
That's a twofold question. The answer is, are we risk takers? Yeah, we're in the Free Cities on our own. But it'd have to be worth the while.
He says, well, if you get out of this quarter, if you've noticed up there, we have a very plump administrative sector here.
You didn't answer my question. How long have you been here?
Me? Well, I come and go now. I first came here about 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I've traveled since. I've hit them all except Frostfall. Never made it that far south. Heard it's cold as tits there anyway. If I wanted that kind of cold, I'd have stayed home, right?
Yeah.
But if you want treasure, if you want bigger hits, well, there's the government, the Sea Lord, and of course, there's where the real money is. And that's the people of faith.
Temple of Set.
He kind of chuckles. It's like, well, Temple of Set, Saint Yig also. There's plenty of treasure up there. Temple of Set might be dangerous. He kind of like thinks about it. He's like, I have heard that beneath that tower are treasures and horrors that will make your skin crawl.
I'll buck up. Hey, we've seen some things.
He says, no doubt, my friends. Are you thinking of such a score? Or are you sticking to smaller waters?
We
for
haven't
now?
thought of anything yet. Like I said, we just got here today.
It's like, well, I'm not staying here, of course. I do like coming here. I like the owner, and I like a couple of the women that hang out here. But if you do decide for let's say larger hits, if you think a little bit bigger, let me know. Maybe we can work together, huh?
Absolutely.
You seem a little younger, and I'm not alleging anything. You look like you can handle a sword. He turns to you.
Okay.
Says, I might be able to offer a little bit of experience, a little guidance in that regard. Nobody wants to get killed, right? We all just want to live.
That's right.
Get fat, wealthy, live like these merchant princes. Maybe even like the Sea Lord. Could you imagine me being the Sea Lord of one of these free cities?
Sea Lord?
Yeah, that's what they call the ruler here.
Oh.
You know, some guy named Kalis.
Do you like gladiators, Billy?
You ever seen a grown man naked, Otto? Yeah, so with that he says, well, I'll let you guys get acclimated to the city. I'm usually around, and if you ever want to work together, well, let's just say I'm always partial to folks of our land. He says, quite frankly, he says, I've worked with some of these people, and he points like down south here. He's like, some of them are okay, but they don't sometimes accept you as one of their own. And I don't know if I can fully trust them, to tell you the truth. Now, us Northerners, maybe we got a little bit of a bond, right?
Yeah.
We know what it means to freeze our asses off in the winter.
Oh yeah.
We also know the value of of one of these, and he takes out a big fat gold piece, and he just says, "Hey, I'm just a man trying to make my way in the world." And he slides the gold over and says, "Drinks on me, fellas." Or next one's on me, something along those lines.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good evening.
Yep.
Doffs his cap and actually ends up walking out into the night. So he's done here.
Gives us a bit to think about.
It does.
You're being, your table, you're being checked on by, one of the barmaids, darker skinned, a little dowdy, but she seems to be pleasant enough. Other than that, the night is passing.
We can just fast forward to the morning.
Yeah.
All right. So, stay around there. Easy night. You come back downstairs in the morning. See, they're kind of still cleaning up a little bit from the night before. And actually, you find that Jeffroy, the little the boy, saying, Masters, I had promised you a tour.
We need to get to the shops. You can show us the way there.
Of course.
You can change shirt. I want a leather shirt.
Yeah. And we want to know some more about the city.
Of course, Masters. That's why I'm here. What do you want to know?
This set. This is all new to us down here.
He does some genuflect and looks down. Set. Beware where you say that.
Oh, okay.
You like snakes? Please tell me I've not misjudged and that you like snakes.
I've never feared them.
These snakes you should fear, Masters. Evil things happen in those towers. He puts his head up.
It's the second person who's mentioned something about those towers and evil.
They are. The only thing I will say is, if you don't bother them, they generally won't bother the lay folk. But they are fabulously wealthy. They have their hands in just about every merchant house. Rich beyond measure. And you know what that means? They can afford to buy anything they want, masters. Including, he like looks around at all the people and then just kind of like nods. Anything they want. Where would you like to go first?
Yes. I'd like to get a little some protective clothing.
Oh, yes. Well, just so happens there is a blacksmith, and as I recall, he's looked at favorably by you Northerners. With that, he starts to take you on a like through the alleyways, and you can hear like the hammer going ding 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 ding, and he finally leads you right up to him. Says, "Here you go." He even says, like, he's looking for a shirt of chain.
Yes.
Shirt of metal. Yeah. Guy's a little bit older, forearms as big as like, your thighs. It's like, yeah, I can do that for you. He's like, how long are you going to be in town?
For a little while, handful of days or longer.
All right. He's like, well, I need to take your measurements.
Absolutely.
If you want it fitted.
Yes.
And I need something down.
Absolutely.
All right. 10 gold down.
Okay.
That'll start the work.
We have plenty.
Okay.
Yep. All right. With that, he has you, like raise your arms. He has like rope, which he has colored and sectioned. And he has an assistant. He's like, take these down, and he just starts boom, boom, everywhere where this shirt would be.
I had hand-me-downs and then stolen. I never had fitted.
He looks at you and says, "Well, you're about to get the best work that you can get, this side of Fagelin."
I'm kind of excited about that.
All right.
And after he's done with Roland, and I'm interested in a leather one.
He says, "Well, okay, that you'll have to go to like a leather worker."
Oh, you don't do those?
Nope.
Okay.
No, he.
Do you have one that you recommend?
Yeah, the blacksmith says, yeah, he points you to the right direction.
Okay.
And Jeff Roy says, "Oh yes, his work is impeccable, masters. Yes, for sure." Sure enough, you go there, and he's not quite as confident as the blacksmith, but he says, yeah, what you looking for? Something with studs on it, straight leather.
Straight leather.
Okay.
Fitted,
of course, yes. Allow, again, deposit.
Protection from all sides.
Of course. He just asked for 3 gold down on that.
How long would that take?
He's like, well, I'm backed up a little bit. Probably a week.
That'd be plenty.
Yeah, probably about 2 weeks for yours, Rogan.
Yeah, custom made.
Yep.
I'm kind of excited about that. I got myself a nice sword.
Yeah.
A beautiful scabbard. It's got some jewels in it too, man.
Hell yeah. All right. Yeah, and he just says, yeah, I'll get to work on this. He's like, you'll after he takes your measurements, he's like, yeah. He's like, come back, in about a week. He gives you, in fact, a token.
Like a dry cleaner slip?
Yeah, exactly. Like a dry cleaner slip. Yeah. He says, just present this. He's like, but I've got your name, he asks your name, but all that stuff. So yeah. Easy peasy. Jeff Roy says, anywhere else, masters?
I don't know. Let's just
I don't think so. I think we're going to just wander on our own now.
Very good.
We'll give him, a couple silver and send him on his way.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much, Masters. If I could ever be of service,
Yep.
Let me know. All right. Down a ways, you can hear the hustle and bustle of that giant plaza market, and of course the streets are crowded as usual. So anywhere in particular you want to go?
I can't think of anything.
Let's just walk around and kind of get the layout.
Yeah.
Any direction you want to go towards? Like towards the market, towards the temple area, for lack of a better word, or towards the governing sector?
Towards the temple area?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So you start wending through the alleyways. At a certain point, it gets a little bit easier, less people, and then it kind of broadens and opens up, and it's on a level. So it's, maybe 50 feet higher, maybe 50 to 75 feet higher than the level you were on. So there's a little road that goes up, and you can tell right from here, this whole area where the temples are has a wall, or it's a walled area. I don't know if you can see that, from there, but you can see the palm trees kind of swaying in the breeze. In fact, we'll say it's maybe time, you do notice the clouds darkening, and you're like, holy shit, it looks like it's going to rain. In fact, you start to see people, starting to go in. But what you are seeing is a road, essentially, that wends up kind of straight up this hill and into a gate area where you can ostensibly get beyond that wall. Now, there's people coming and going. You do maybe take notice of a couple of guards up there. Other than that, it seems like they're just kind of walking in freely.
I'm curious.
Yeah, we can try to walk in.
All right. Yeah, so there's a group of penitents going up, and these aren't penitents of Set. They're penitents of Saint Yig, the god of good and just and all that stuff, and saying their prayers as they walk up. As you get to the gate, there are a couple of city guards there. They do take note of you, and one of them just kind of flicks he's got a a pole arm. He just kind of flicks the wooden end. Just says, "Oh, haven't seen you. What you doing in there?"
Checking out St. Yig. We're new here.
Okay.
Is this building closed?
No, just checking. He kind of smiles and brings the pole arm down. Go on. Out by nightfall.
Okay.
That's the rules.
What happens at nightfall?
You leave.
I'll just brush him off.
Mm-hmm.
Just walk right by him.
Yeah. So you guys just kind of walk through, kind of carried by a small crowd that's going through now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what you're looking at is right here, as you're staring at it, there's palm trees lining a beautiful kind of road that leads into this really nice domed temple with a couple of wings on the side. And that seems to be where all of the penitents of St. Yig are going. Off a little bit to the left is another path that it gets smaller, and there's less activity there. And you actually see another wall. So there's a wall inside this walled area and another gate, which is closed. You see this temple of Set beyond that.
So it's a gated community inside of a gated community.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, it's only gated at night, the general one. The Temple of Set, you'll have to see, but it looks like it might be gated all the time. And you do see a couple of guards over there dressed in black, holding weapons. Just from a distance, hard to get any more detail. And like I said, you don't really see anybody going there. It's like a empty road that kind of goes off this kind of majestic avenue, this palm tree lined avenue, and just kind of wends its way towards the back some distance. We'll say at least like a football field or a football field and a half away from the Temple of St. Yig into this area which contains, that main tower and maybe just a couple of smaller ones. Surly says nighttime. That's when the Temple of Set finds recruits. All right, so I'll tell you what, it's 10. Why don't we cut it off here? You guys can decide if you want to do anything now, later. We can always, of course, if you so desire, just kind of skip ahead. Think about it during the week,
it's something we'll have to think about.
and let kind of start thinking of a plan though. Like get what you want to do here. Is this an avenue you want to go towards, or are you looking?
Well, we for sure have a week to hang out here.
Yeah,
till our stuff's done.
Yeah, well, 2 weeks in his case.
Yeah,
a
2 weeks.
little bit more ornate. So okay. Yeah, Ryan Nielsen, Yigi Pop, Yigi Pops. The ceremonial dropping of the dice has begun. All right, guys. Still 50 of us here. Can you believe 50 people watch us play?
That's awesome.
That's
Honored.
something else. Guys, you were great as always. Chat blowing it up as usual. Certainly gems the size of a human fist. Just trying to clean some of these up. Hey, Meat, how you doing? One of the OGs. You should have seen the waitress in her car washing days.
Yeah, isn't that the right truth?
Glad you said that. We're gonna exit on that, I think. So all right, we'll let you guys go. It's been a long night.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We'll see you next week. I'm working on a video right now. Actually, I'm pretty pumped about this video, so hopefully you guys will be too. So, yep, for the third time tonight.
Third time's the charm.
Get out your microfiber towels. Get ready to roll. Night, guys. We'll talk to you next week.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks again to Pundit and Chris for coming on. Remember, look for Baptism of Fire sometime in the next couple of weeks. We'll remind you. So, peace. Love you. Take it away, Marisha. It's like Bill O'Reilly. Take it away, Sting. Take it away, Marisha. One last thing, I wanted to give a shout out to Bill Musall for making me aware of that video. Yeah. So, all right, guys, take care. Peace. Love you guys. Bye.